Good evening, everybody. Today is May 24th, 2022. It is now 7:01, and we want to welcome you to the San Marino Unified School District Board of Education meeting. With us, we have Dr. Linda De La Torre.
Thank you, Mr. Negre. In my capacity as Secretary of the Board of Education, after consultation with legal counsel and in review of the board bylaws, pursuant to Board Bylaw 9121, when the president resigns or is absent or disabled, the clerk shall perform the president's duties. Therefore, until such time as the Board of Education appoints a fifth board member and calls for and acts upon a reorganization of the board, Mr. C. Joseph Chang shall assume the duties of the board president, including presiding over the meetings. Mr. Chang.
Thank you, Dr. De La Torre. Good evening. It's my honor to conduct tonight open section. So at 7:03 p.m. So first of all, I'd like to report for the closed section. So there is for the 3A public employment title superintendent. So there's a message I would like to report. The board vote unanimously to bring its current search for a superintendent to a close without selecting a finalist. The board will agendize for a future meeting whether and when to renew its search and how to proceed in the interim. Thank you. And then next, agenda 5 for the regular open section. First of all, roll call. Mrs. Jen Chong.
Here.
Mr. Mike Hiraki.
Here.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan.
Here.
Mr. Joseph Chen here. Okay. 6 call to the order. 6A. Tonight, we are very honored to invite Ms. Cynthia Then. Is that here?
She's right there.
Okay. So Cynthia, do you like to do for the 6A the pledge of allegiance?
Yeah.
You like to introduce people?
Dr. Richter
Okay, yeah,
will
go ahead.
introduce Cynthia.
Thank you, Board Member Chang. Tonight we have the honor of having San Marino High School captain of the dance team, Miss Cynthia Chang, to lead the board in the flag salute and briefly tell us a little bit about what's happening at the high school.
Please stand. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. It is an honor. My name is Cynthia Zhang, and I'm a senior this year at San Marino High School. I have been a part of the school's dance company for the past 3 years. And again, I am also this year's dance captain. I enjoy being at San Marino High School because of the amazing dance department. I've been a part of the dance department for the entirety of my high school career, and it's the main highlight for my time here. Although it's time for me to leave, I truly cherish all the memories and opportunities I have experienced, and I would never trade my time here for anything else. I'm excited to see what my future holds as I will be pursuing as a dance major at Cal State Long Beach. Thank you.
Wow. Cynthia.
Cynthia, we'd like to present you with this certificate of appreciation for leading us in the pledge and telling us a little bit about the high school. And then we'd like to get a photograph with you up here in front and with our clerk, Mr. Chang. Thank you so much.
It's been several years, so I slowly grow. I think before like this. We are very pleased, during your high school year. Advocate for this stuff. And 2 weeks ago, we saw your final show. We are so impressed and with your classmates. Yeah, thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you.
Okay, and next one is a 6B, approval of agenda. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Jen Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Mike Hiraki,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Motion carry. Next, 6C, approval of meeting minutes. Let's start from the April 26th Board of Education meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes for April 26th.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Jen Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Mike Hiraki,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Stephen Bo. Motion carry. Next, May 2nd, 2022 Special Board of Education meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Jen Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Mike Hiraki,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Stephen Bo.
Aye.
Motion carry. Next, May 6th Special Board of Education meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
I would move to approve except to amend the end time, should read at 5:05 PM.
Okay,
Sorry, I missed that on my review. Did we fix that? Oh, I'm sorry. You did fix it. Okay, I'm looking at an old copy. Never mind.
okay.
I,
So you
um,
still make a motion,
so I
right?
move to approve.
Okay, I need to have a second.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Mike Hiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Jen Chong.
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Stephen Bo. Motion carry. May 7, 2022 Special Board of Education meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Mike Hiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Jen Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Stephen Bo. Motion carried. May 10, 2022 Board of Education regular meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve. May.
Any second?
A second.
Okay, Mike second. Roll call. Mr. Mike Hiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Jen Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Stephen Bo. Motion carried. The last one, May 12, 2022 Special Board of Education meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
So moved for May 12th special board meeting minutes.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Mike Hiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Jen Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Stephen Ball. Motion carry. Next, 7, San Marino Unified District Student Spotlight. Dr. Territory. Let's start from the 7A, San Marino High School Boys Swim Team Recognition.
Yes, I would like to introduce Mr. Casey Holcomb. Would you please come up to the podium?
Thank you. I would like to bring up my guys that I brought with me, Captains Ethan Chang, Joseph Ng, and Daniel Lee. I have asked Captain Ethan Chang to say a few words about the season.
Wonderful.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ethan Chang. I'm a senior at San Marino High School and one of the 3 captains of varsity boys swim team. Behind me stands Coach Casey Holcomb, sophomore Daniel Lee, and senior Joseph Ng. We are all members of this year's CIF state team. This season was incredibly special to me and the entire team as a whole. In my 4 years on the swim team, I have never seen this much determination and hard work from each and every swimmer on the team. Our team's season's overall season record was 7-2, and we had a very close second place finish at the Rio Hondo League Championships. While the beginning of the season was incredible, I believe that our last 2 weeks deserve the most recognition. With the immense success at league, almost half of our varsity team qualified for the CIF Southern Section Championships in Mission Viejo. Our team started extremely well with 3 top 8 finishes in individual events and a 3rd and 4th place finish in the 200 medley and 200 free relays respectively. All of these swims were fast enough to qualify for the CIF state meet at Clovis North High School. CIF state is known as the fastest high school swim meet in the country. Those who qualified were within the top 40 swimmers in the entire state. And the San Marino varsity boys had two strong finishes in the 2 relays, ending the season tied for 18th in the 200 free, in the 200 medley relay and 25th in the 200 free relay. I finished 35th in the state for the 50 free, and Daniel Lee had an extraordinary meet, finishing 10th in the 200 individual medley and 1st in the 100 breaststroke. Daniel Lee also smashed the 100 breaststroke school record and is only 9/10 of a second off qualification for the international team trials.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
We are incredibly proud of the hard work demonstrated by each member of the swim team this year. I was honored to be a captain of this high achieving team, and I hope that this winning legacy continues for many more years to come. Thank you very much.
We would like to present you with a certificate for the boys swim team and take a photograph with you up front, please. And while we're doing that, I'd just like to say, we are so incredibly impressed with your accomplishments this year. Yes. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you. Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership.
Congratulations.
Okay, next 7B, San Marino High School Girls Swim Team Recognition.
Okay, Mr. Barr, would you please join us at the podium?
Thank you. My name is Mark Barr. I'm the head coach of the women's swim team. As they work their way up, my captain, Sophia Yao, will talk about our season this year.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sophia Yao, and I am one of 3 captains of the girls swim team. Behind me is Coach Barr Amber Paul, Sabrina Wang, Arwen Wen, Leah Dean, and Kiana Lee. We're all members of the CIF team. So first of all, I want to thank the school board for inviting us here today. It is an absolute honor and we truly appreciate the opportunity. And as I reflected on this past season, it's clear that has been one of our most successful ever. We were undefeated throughout all 8 of our dual meets, and we ultimately won the Rio Hondo League title with an additional win at League Champs. The 8 swimmers who competed at CIF, either individually or part of a relay, also had remarkable finishes, including re-breaking the school record in the 200 freestyle relay 2 times throughout the meet.
That's awesome.
This is made all the more remarkable by the fact that this is our team's first time in the Division I championship for several years. We then culminated this incredible season by swimming at the state championships in Clovis this past week, giving it all in the pool and leaving with no regrets. Reaching the end of this season, which has been highlighted just as much by the perseverance and dedication of all of the girls on the team as it was by the multiple school and league records set, I want to acknowledge a few people that were key to making this all happen. First of all, thank you to Coach Barr for organizing the daily practices, crafting the competition rosters, and providing advice at key moments to constantly allow us to perform at our best. I also want to give a shout out to the booster parents who supported us at each and every meet, whether it was through bringing snacks, hosting senior nights, or volunteering as timers during the championship. Finally, thank you once again to all of the girls who made this such a memorable experience, as the friendships we made both in and out of the pool is one of the things I'll miss most about my time at San Marino High School. I wish you all the best of luck next year, and thank you for all of the things we did together this year.
By the way, thank you for Coach Mr. Barr and Captain Sophia and your team member for your wonderful performance for this year.
Yes, thank you, and congratulations to the team and Coach Barr. You have a lot to be proud of this year. Congratulations to you, and if we could get a photograph front and center. And we'll be presenting you with a certificate of recognition, so thank you very much.
Awesome. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Okay, next 8, public comment. The Board of Education has adopted Board Policy 9323B to ensure the public's right to be heard in any matter pertaining to the San Marino Unified School District. Person who wish to provide a public comment will have 3 options to submit the public comment. First, submit through an online form. Second, request to speak during the meeting via Zoom. Third, request to speak during the meeting in person via the public comment card. The first one, I think by the 3:30 p.m. there's no comment. Is that right? Okay. Then let's talk to the second request to speak during the meeting via the Zoom. During the public comment, the meeting will pause for 1 minute to take a request to speak. The raise hand function is used to take a request during the public comment period. For online attending, press the raise hand icon to add yourself to the queue. For phone attendees, dial 9. The speaking order will be determined based on the order of a request received. Individual speaker will be unmute and call to the speak. Okay, let's start for the.
We're now going to pause for 1 minute to take the request to speak for items not on the agenda. If you want to request to speak, go ahead and press the raise hand icon or dial *9 to make a request. We have now 30 seconds left to make a request to speak for items concerning matters not on the agenda. If you want to make a request, please click on the raise hand icon or dial *9 to make a request. The time is over and we have one request.
Okay, go ahead, yeah, to speak, yeah. By the way, I just want to remind, so this for the communication from the audience regarding the matter not on the agenda are to be made at this time.
Okay, Vivian, you can go right ahead and start your time.
Oh, hi, good evening, everyone. Calling you from my mobile phone, sitting in the car right in front of the gym where we are about to go in to see the great night light up. One thing I do wanted to comment on, I wanted to say thank you to the administrator, Dr. Linda Toya, Dr. Nina Richter, and also Dr. Michael Ling. They are the VIP participated at the 4th grade hands-on culture-based scholar for a day program last week at the 4th grade classroom, along with another very special VIP, which is the immediate past president of the Tournament of Roses, Dr. Bob Miller. We have been doing this. The Royal We is the Chinese Foreign Foundation, along with the Huntington Library, doing this program. Basically, is teaching diversity, equity, and inclusion. For the last decade, we went dark for 2 years because of the pandemic. It was really at the request of the teacher, of the 4th grade teacher, who wanted to make sure we go back to the classroom. And we are very excited. We are back to the classroom. And once again, the 4th grader have proven to every single one of us that they are the young scholar and they are the future of our country. So I just want to say thank you. It has been a pleasure serving as a volunteer, and we hope that this program will continue. And according to the words of Dr. Miller, this kind of program should be broadly shared among all the elementary school kids. And I think we all wanted to work in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, Jennifer, do we collect any public comment in person for this agenda? Okay, so let's conclude for the AA, and then let's go to the AV, communication from the audience regarding matter on the consent agenda are to be made at this time. Okay, go ahead for the 1 minute to collect through the Zoom.
We're now going to pause for 1 minute to take requests to speak during the meeting concerning matters in the consent. We now have 30 seconds left, taking requests to speak during the concerning matters in the consent area. If you want to request to speak, please click on the raise hand icon or dial *9. Mr. Chan, the time is over and there is no request.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer, how about you have any the comment in person? Okay, thank you. So we conclude for the AB. Next is a special for today is a public hearing. So we will follow those procedure we mentioned. You know, we collect from the online, and we also will request to speak during the meeting via the Zoom. And finally, we also will request to speak during the meeting in person via the public comment card. Okay, the first of all, the public hearing agenda 9A, public hearing and comment on the 2022 to 23 district sunshine proposal for contract negotiation between the San Marino Unified School District and the California School Employee Association, CSEA, local chapter number 120. Is that Miss Judy Correnti here, or you like?
She is here, but I will
Okay.
handle this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The governing board of the San Marino Unified School District will hold a public hearing and receive comments regarding the initial proposals of the San Marino Unified School District and the California School Employees Association, local chapter number 120. The initial proposals were made available for the public inspection on district's website, and the district presented its sunshine proposals at the May 10th meeting as information only items. Are there any public comments at this time?
Okay, so we conclude for the 9A, 9B. Oh, yes, yeah, go ahead.
We're now going to pause for 1 minute to take requests for public comments. We have 30 seconds remaining to take requests to speak for public comments. Mr. Chan, the time has expired and there are no requests.
Thank you. Jennifer, how about any public comment on the comment card? Okay, thank you. Okay, we conclude for the 9A, and the next 9B, public hearing and comment on the 2022 to 23 district sunshine proposal for a contract negotiation between the San Marino Unified School District and the San Marino Teacher Association, SMTA. Go ahead, Dr. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. The governing board of the San Marino Unified School District will hold a public hearing and receive comments regarding the initial proposals of the San Marino Unified School District and the San Marino Teachers Association. The initial proposals were made available for public inspection on the district's website, and the district presented its sunshine proposals at the May 10th meeting as information only items. Are there any public comments at this time?
Okay, let's go to the Zoom.
We're now going to pause for 1 minute to take the request to speak during this meeting. We now have 30 seconds remaining to take requests to speak during this meeting. Remember to press the raise hand icon to make a request or dial *9. The time has expired and there are no requests.
Thank you. Okay, so we conclude for the 9B public hearing. Let's go to the 10 consent section. As I mentioned, we already collect the public comment. So right now, I'm just go to the consent section. I like to have a motion to approve for the 10A to 10H.
I actually have a question. Can I ask a question about
Yes.
10H?
Yes, please.
The 2022-23 multi-school membership application? Can I ask what that is? And
Thank you for asking that question. The multi-school agreement allows for students who reside within the district boundaries who may be enrolled in a private school or a private online school to participate in public school activities and athletics. And so in this case, we have a student who resides within our school district boundaries who has requested to participate in athletics. And so this agreement is a multi-school agreement that memorializes the arrangement between the two schools.
do we, so that student from a private school will participate in our athletics program?
Yes.
And does the state provide any funding to our district for that public school activity?
Not that I'm aware of, but we can certainly check with Dr. Lynn to find out, and then I can get back to the board on that.
Okay, my concern would be whether it's one student or 100 students. If we have students that are outside of our district and we're not receiving funding,
Right.
yet we're providing services, including paying for coaches and other facilities and so on, the district is incurring expenses for outside district persons.
Mhm.
And so I would just like to know if this is how this is affecting our district financially.
Thank you for the question, and we'll certainly follow up on that to find out if there's any additional funding. I don't, off the top of my head, believe that there is, and I do remember us having this arrangement in the past with a student in private, or a student who was being homeschooled, who wanted to participate in one of our athletic programs. And we were required to provide that support and service to that student, even though we were not receiving any ADA revenue for that particular student.
So is this something that we're required to do
Yes.
by the state?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. Mhm. As a public school district, we are required to provide that service even when we're not receiving ADA. But the question about whether or not there's any like supplemental funding, I can certainly investigate that for
but
you.
regardless of funding, the
We're
state
required.
law requires that we provide it.
Yes,
Okay, thank you very
absolutely.
much.
Thank you for Mr. Kiraki. Is that we have a more question?
Was my question, so
thank you
for asking.
Good. Okay, without the question, I like to have a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Mike Kiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Jen Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Sherry Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Joseph Chen, aye. Stephen Bo. Motion carried. Next, let's go to the 11 communication section. 11A, communication from the Board of Education, start from the Mr. Kiraki.
So over the last week or so, I had the opportunity to attend the choir pop concert. Our VAPA programs are unbelievable. Our staff and our teachers are unbelievable, and our students are extremely impressive with how they perform. They're the skills that they're learning, the life skills of confidence, of getting up in front of people, self-confidence in themselves to be able to perform, whether it's a solo or as a group. It was truly impressive and inspiring. And so I would like to congratulate each of those students for what they accomplished. I also had the opportunity to attend the HMS Choir Banquet, which was a very heartfelt and special moment. To see our choir director connect with those students and the families was really a special time. And so congratulations to all the students that received the awards, whether it was the Spirit Award or the Musicianship Award or the Director's Award, and to every other student who had the opportunity to be a part of not only the banquet, but the VAPA program. Congratulations to all of you. I am looking forward to promotions over this week, high school graduation and grad night. So I believe there may still be some spots open. There's always spots open. So for volunteers. So if anybody wants to volunteer, definitely try to find somebody connected with high school PTA or the grad night, and I'm sure that they will find an opportunity for you to participate. That also is a very special opportunity to see our students as they're about to have their lives completely change from that night to the very next morning. They have no idea what's ahead of them, but I do feel very confident from everything that they've experienced that they are prepared, not only academically, but with life skills. And so I wish all of our students the best of luck.
Thank you, Mr. Kiraki. Next, Mrs. Jen Chong.
Thank you. Sorry. So first I wanted to say thank you to Board Clerk Chang for taking on the duties of the president that I don't have to do as a vice president. So that takes some things off my plate. So thank you very much for that. And just in general, I appreciate the willingness of this entire board to always step up to meet the challenges and to celebrate in the joys as well. It's truly a gift and an honor to be able to serve alongside all of you. So with that being said, on to some board business. So I did attend the LOXTA Zoom, the LOXTA meeting via Zoom, in which they did elect a new board. So I wanted to report that out for my fellow board members. President Tina Fredericks, who serves with the Pasadena Unified School District, was elected. Vice President Jeffrey Delatorre, no relation, I assume, or no relation. Secretary Jason Boxer, and the directors, there are 5 of them: Laura Santos, Renita Armstrong, Keith Coleman, Lisa Dabbs, Christine Salazar. And that they they coordinate all of the trustees from the K-14 schools, and they provide an incredible service of being able to not only network with each other, but to be able to really just tap into a bigger support system when we all need it. So that's our new LOXTA board for the next year. As for myself personally, I want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to all of the PTAs and PFAs and Boy Scouts and teachers and the staff, because this has been a whirlwind of a month. And everybody has just stepped up with some really amazing activities for our kids. And it is such a gift to be able to participate in all of those activities. So with that, I will start with the Carver Patriotic Program. Oh my gosh, tears, incredibly moving. I believe it's going to be posted somewhere at some point. I'm not sure where or when. I know Clock was there recording it. And if you didn't have a chance to watch it, go back and watch it. It just really celebrates everything that our children are and what they are given and what this country and this nation has done for all of us. So I also attended the principal's reception with Mr. Caldwell and Ms. McAlpine, and that was a great opportunity to meet our new incoming principals. I hope they weren't too overwhelmed. And I also did catch PTA President Clarity this afternoon with the coffee and conversation with Ms. McAlpine. Great questions. It felt very Oprah moment-y. It was great. I did attend the On Gold Mountain that Mr. Chang discussed, and it featured a number of our middle school students. And then I believe they were able to participate a couple days of last week with some of our high school students at the orchestra concert, which was just, must have been amazing. Yes, so I won't say anything. I'll let him, I didn't get to go. And then I also attended a number of PTA in and out meetings. I know we're going to hear reports from our PTAs today. I mean, I think somebody calculated at the Carver one, the volunteer hours were something like 8 equivalents of full-time workers serving the community. And I think Valentine had even more hours. So I think they might have been 10 equivalent. And so it's just amazing. And I thank all of our PTA members for stepping up this past year and for saying yes to next year. And then I wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to all of the senior activities. Those were just so amazing to be in person again. I'm looking at Karen right now because I think I saw her a number of times at those as well. And it was just such a gift to see the kids celebrate each other. I think they've all come through a really long road. And I think it was really special for everybody to be able to cheer for each other. The senior awards was adorable. Miss Robin came and like showed off her trophy from dancing with the teachers, which was great. And we just really got to celebrate the students and all of their accomplishments at the Prometheans breakfast, at the senior awards. And it was just really exciting to see that. And I'm excited for grad night. I volunteered at that a couple times and that's really coming together. Light up is tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. The entire community is welcome. And it's just amazing. I mean, it's like walking into Universal Studios, but better because it's Universal Studios. So, okay. And I just, I'm just really excited for the graduations as well. As Mr. Clackey said, it's a time to celebrate a return to normalcy too, and celebrate our kids because they went through a lot and they really earned this and they deserve it. And the parents earned it as well. So I'm really happy that we can have that time to celebrate together.
Thank you. Next, Mrs. Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. I want to begin tonight by, on behalf of the board, thanking Mrs. Nam Jack. We are forever indebted to her incredible leadership, not only in her leadership with renewing the parcel taxes, which generate funds for teachers to keep our school district with small class sizes. Her leadership and expertise and exceptional service to San Marino is very much appreciated. I think I'm going to stop. I also want to report out that I joined our board members in attending the welcome for our Carver and Valentine new principals. On May 12th and 13th, we had special board meetings. This week, I also supported the Eagle Scout projects for a number of our Eagle Scouts. One of the incredible projects that I was honored to serve on was how an Eagle Scout looked at the way we prepared for fire, earthquake, and emergency lockdowns, and the equipment and preparation that we needed to organize and have from before COVID to now after COVID, the things that we look for, and how do we prepare and supply the schools. This month, I also spent time engaging with the community on the 15th and on the 24th. Community members had lots to say about our superintendent search. City Club, what a nice surprise. I think Mr. Chang would agree with me since he watch this young lady grow up. She was a San Marino Unified School District alum. She is Dr. Stephanie Zia. She now heads, she's not only a graduate from our school district, but she now heads USC's Future Doctor Program. And so she ensures the pipeline of our medical profession as they come through the program. And so it was nice to hear from her experience what will help prepare students to be our future doctors in looking at some of the health issues that we're facing today. And on May 25th, grad night light up. So I want to encourage all of you guys to attend. PTA affiliates and grad night committee are celebrating our students with grad night, but also having a light up event, which is a must see if you haven't been part of that. Thank you, Mr. Chang.
Thank you. First of all, I want to appreciate name check as a president for last couple months. Yeah, I've been work with a name check more than 9 years, you know. So I wish she can continue to with us. But in fact, you know, I was not prepared to step in to take charge, you know. You know, everyone's very busy, but I think whatever school district and they need our help, yeah. So anytime we can step in because I live close to the school district, 2 minutes, yeah. And anytime I can come. As my fellow already report all the activity, so I'm not to report anymore, but couple of the activity I think I need to report. May 12, Thursday, you know, San Marino Rotary Club, once a year they have a mini grant program. So this time I think they give us 30,000, right? So, but because of during the COVID-19, you know, it's difficult to ask the teacher present their own project. So end up, you know, they have a total budget, and then the based on the ADA with the whole school, you know, we are only the public school and also have 3 private school. So with that, so they allocate about 30,000 to our school district. I think our CBO is very happy, so and utilize those funds with the teacher. And secondly, yesterday, you know, I went to the Huntington Library to observe about the humanity exhibition. You know, that's I'm so proud. You know, our students, you know, they can do the artwork they put on the Huntington Library. Yeah. So there's a visitor in and out, so they see we are from the San Marino High School. So I think I always feel this honor class is very meaningful to the community because we close to the Huntington Library. So our students they can, you know, routinely go to observe for the museum, the art gallery. And also this also give our students have a practical training, you know, not just do the work at the school and also in the community. Yeah. So in another example I want to mention, you know, on the Gold Mountain is a live opera. So this is another example. You know, we have very strong orchestra student member, but we need to also expose them to the outside, the real world. So real world is in the Los Angeles, greater Los Angeles. So when I connect this with Huntington Library and our Mr. Rob Watson, you know, so because the AP test, so not every kid can commit. Finally, we still have 9 students from the middle school and high school. So with their participation, I think this live opera is really meaningful. to community and to high school. So the board will continue to grab this opportunity and that our students perform. I think that's my report. And then I want give to our student board. Is that today is your last one?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can talk more.
Maybe. So I've only really gone to senior events since our last meeting. We had our senior parent dinner, which was a really lovely dinner. The students and their parents got together to really see each other for the last time until graduation. I know my parents were saying how bittersweet it was to see the kids they've seen since elementary school, and then now they're about to graduate. And then the senior awards where students are acknowledged for their accomplishments, achievements, and scholarships. And I would like to thank the district on behalf of the senior class for every opportunity they've given us. It's really more than we could ever ask for. And I'm excited for graduation and grad night this Friday. Thank you.
Okay, by the way, I think the last meeting we already honored you.
Yes.
One more time. So the board, is there any board member like to give the best wish?
Oh,
Because since this is the last meeting.
it's always been helpful to have you here you're like in my direct line of sight. And it always reminds us why we're doing this. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Mike?
I think it's just really exciting times for you and we definitely wish you the best of luck and good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Ryan?
Well, I want to thank you for your leadership and service. There were some long nights and you sticked with us. And through it all, I think you can't see it right now, but she's always smiling. And she just brought such a sweet spirit to our board, and she always had things to report and engaged us. So we look forward to wonderful things from you. And may I say where you're going now?
Yes, you may.
Okay. No, you tell them.
Oh, Pepperdine University.
I was telling her she will be close enough to visit but far enough so that we can't bother her. So she understands that. Anyways, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next 11C, communication from the superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Clerk Chang and members of the board. Today, we learned that a mass shooting in Uvalde, Texas at Robb Elementary School has resulted in 18 children and 1 teacher being shot and killed. As a parent, grandparent, and superintendent, my heart aches for those innocent lives lost today. I grieve for the parents, families, and loved ones who will undeniably experience trauma for years to come. This type of senseless tragedy is unfortunately becoming less infrequent. And I am so incredibly grateful for our strong partnership with the San Marino Police Department. We have and will continue to train for these types of inconceivable occurrences. And while no school can continue to train and be completely prepared for these horrific incidences, with the help of local law enforcement, FBI, and our experts on active shooter training, we are as prepared as a school district as any school district can possibly be. So we are doing everything within our power to keep our students and our staff safe. We are exceptionally grateful, and we feel a lot of gratitude that this hasn't happened here, because it can happen anywhere. To honor those who lost their lives today, I would like to ask for just a moment of silence. Thank you. I just want to let the community know and the Board of Education that I will be preparing in consultation with Chief and Contra a joint statement that will be going out related to this incident today. And we will be sending that out sometime this evening or first thing tomorrow morning to the community. So shifting gears as we prepare to wrap up the end of the 2021-22 school year, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation for our hardworking Board of Education. This year has been incredibly difficult on this board, and they keep showing up. And they are fully engaged and really trying to do the best for the students that we serve. So thank you to the Board of Education, our incredible, amazing, outstanding, dedicated PTA and PTSA leaders who also show up when we need you the most and give untold hours of volunteerism and dedication on behalf of the students. Our wonderful San Marino Schools Foundation, who without your support, we would not be the same school district. All of our education partners are amazing teachers, classified staff, and our administrators, who are all untold professionals who really are so dedicated and have done things that are incredibly above and beyond this year in support of the education that our students receive. And I want to thank everyone for not only making it through the end of this school year, but making this school year one to remember. We have so much to be proud of this year in terms of the colleges and universities that our kids are getting into, in terms of, you've seen it this year, right? At our Board of Education meetings, you've seen all the students who have achieved in whether it's athletics or the arts or speech and debate. Our kids came back strong. And they came back strong because of everyone in this room, because of our parents and their dedication, their support of their children throughout the pandemic. And I'm just so proud of them. And I'm so proud of all of you for really hanging in there and helping us get through a really difficult time. And I'd like for Eric to cue up a video that shows you just a little bit of the highlights of how incredible this year has been in visual and performing arts.
little momentum.
So I have to give Huang credit for putting that video together in very short period of time that we asked for it. So thank you to Kwok for doing that. And it really does speak to just all the fun and excitement that we have had at each of the schools and the kids just being able to do what they love to do. And it's just great to see them out there. So just I would like to give our outgoing San Marino Schools Foundation President, Aaron Bilvato, just a few minutes to give us a brief update on the San Marino Schools Foundation.
Wow, that was an incredible video. What a great way to come up in front of you all. And just a reminder too, your comments about mental health and wellness, right? It's such a reminder that each one of our kids is so precious. And that's just such a critical piece of our world right now. The first announcement I would like to make is I wanted to introduce Allison Muller. So you all know very well. She's been a long tenured trustee with the foundation. And as I exit out of my journey as leading the foundation, one of my goals was to make sure that our foundation, our board of trustees was in great hands. And both Allison and our entire incoming executive team are amazing individuals who you all will get to know and love. And I'm thrilled to be able to hand off to Allison in great hands. And I also want to let you know that Catherine Oliveros will be coming back next year, and she has been an amazing addition to our team. And we're so grateful to you for helping us navigate the last year, and you've done an incredible job. And the future is bright for the foundation and our school district. So really excited about that. And lastly, we are in the home stretch of our campaign, as we always are. We have 4 weeks left. We have $200,000 to raise, which is completely doable.
That's great.
So coming off the heels of Measure E going into this year, we were worried, right, about some of our goals for this year, and we've really seen the community step up. We have 800 families that have yet to give, and they are on our call list as we speak. Letters are in the mail, and so we're really just encouraging all of those families to give what they can afford. And really our goal at this point is participation and really active engagement from every one of our families. So that'll be the message going into end of year as we bring down yard signs. And then lastly, I want to just say that we've raised over $8 million the last 3 years.
Wow.
So I just want to take a moment. If you just think those are community dollars raised by our community, for our community, and for our children. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the level of engagement and support as we work to save so many teaching positions. Those dollars go to our classrooms, they go to our teachers, they pay for pension and benefits and salaries and academic programs, whether it be elective classes or core curriculum, speech and debate. I mean, these are fundamental elements to our education. And I think, as you said, Linda, and I know as all of our school board knows, this is what makes San Marino great. It's the combination of the foundation and our amazing PTAs that really make the difference. And so we're just encouraging everyone to continue to participate, but also take a moment just to recognize that level of contribution. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, but it's been a great 3 years and really appreciate all of your amazing support and excited about the next school year.
Aaron, thank you so much for your steadfast leadership. You really had a rather bumpy 3 years. It wasn't easy. You were not on autopilot. You really did dig in and you worked so hard to bring us to where we are today. And so I just can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for everything that you have done for the Schools Foundation on behalf of our kids. Thank you so much, Aaron.
Okay, again, thank you for all your three and the trustee, school foundation, time and effort, yeah. We really need, your help always, you know, because, with your effort, you know, we can, promote, quality education. Thank you. Okay, next, we need to collect the public comment again. So 12, communication from the audience regarding matter under information agenda to be made at this time. Okay, go ahead.
We're now going to pause for 1 minute to request to speak during the matters for information items on the agenda. Remember, you can click on the raise hand to make a request or dial *9.
This correct the public comment from the 13A to the 13D.
We now have 30 seconds remaining to request to speak regarding concerning matters for the information items on the agenda. Press the raise hand icon to make a request or dial the *9. The time has expired and there are no requests.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer, how about the comment card in person? Okay, thank you. We conclude for 12. Okay, 13 information item, 13A, retiring recognition, Dr. Linda Territory.
Thank you, Clerk Chang, members of the Board of Education. This is what we've all been waiting for this evening, the exciting part of our meeting. And I'm going to begin by just saying that retirement is when you stop working or living at work and you start working on living, right? And it is an exciting new chapter in people's lives. And we have been fortunate to really have some incredible employees who have spent many, many years of their lives working in our schools. And I'm going to start with Alana Foray. So Alana, will you please come up to the podium? And I have a lot to say about Alana. I have known her for over 3 decades, and Alana has given so much of herself to her work here in San Marino in a variety of capacities. But even thinking back on the beginnings of Alana's career, we always knew that she had leadership in her and that she would be a very strong leader for our school district. And that's exactly how she is going to be ending her career in San Marino as a very highly well-respected leader at Valentine Elementary School. And so I'd like to just say that 32 years ago, Alana Foray began her career at Carver Elementary School as an aide. I'm not sure if everyone knew that, but she did start her career as an aide. She spent 1 year in that capacity, and she was working with students who were in the English as a Second Language program. That's what we called it back then. Alana signed her first teacher contract in 1991. And I love sharing this. Her annual salary was a whopping $22,000. So don't spend it all in one place, Alana. So you've come a long way, right? When you think back on your first annual salary. I also look back at her personnel file, which happens to be literally this thick. It's really, I mean, it's incredible. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing, but I will tell you for Alana, it's a good thing. Letters of affirmation and accolades, and all of her evaluations are stellar. So it was a pleasure to go through and read that. But number 26
on her employment application in 1991, read as follows: "What are your reasons for wanting to teach in our school district?" And her response was as follows: "Teaching in a district of this size has made it possible to develop good working relationships with many teachers and administrators. I value the commitment this district has to quality education for its students. I respect the determination of its educators to do the best job possible despite severe budgetary difficulties." Even back then. Alana has developed many great working relationships with teachers and administrators over the span of her career, and 32 years later, much of what she said in her response to that one question in her application still rings true. So during her career, she served in many important positions, but none more important than wife to AJ and mother to Emmeline, born in 1993, Eden, born in 1995, and Anthony, born in 1998. And all three of Alana's children attended our San Marino schools. Alana has enjoyed a long and distinguished career as a professional educator and administrator. She transitioned from teaching into administration in 2014 when she became an elementary assistant principal, serving both Carver and Valentine elementary schools. In 2016, she became the assistant principal at Huntington Middle School, and in 2018, she replaced the then principal, Mr. Kurtenbach. In 2020, she replaced Colleen Shields as the Valentine Elementary School principal. Her career has been filled with numerous accolades, and she's earned the respect of all who have worked for her and with her. Alana's bright smile, you can see it on display for us this evening, her pleasant demeanor, her kind-heartedness, and her passion for education have made her one of the most impactful leaders in our history. She truly cares about the quality of education that is provided in San Marino, and her love for the children that we serve is so evident in all that she does. Alana, there are no words to express our sincerest gratitude for the dedication and the support that you have provided our fortunate district over the many years that you've worked here. The impact that you've had on literally thousands of children is immeasurable, and it will never be forgotten. Your San Marino Unified School District family wishes you well in all of your future endeavors, and we hope that you will find purpose and meaning in everything you do in this wonderful new chapter of your life. Congratulations to you. Make it count. Live every day with purpose and gratitude, and we're so happy for your life.
Everyone, 1, 2, and 3.
And next, I would like to call up Minera to honor her employees in food services. Minera.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, cabinet members. Today is a very bittersweet day for me. I am so fortunate to have been here, and I have the best employees, my two dream team employees, Maria and Ernesto. They are moving to a new chapter in their lives. And I'm very sad today because the first time when I met Maria, she told me, I love to come to work. I love to see the students, and I love to feed them. She's an excellent cook. She enjoys cooking. She tells me she goes home just to cook. And I go home to rest. In 2010, Maria was so excited. She brought Ernesto with her to work, and she said, "You have to work here." And Ernesto and her have been with us for the last 12 years. Ernesto works at the high school, and Maria works at Carver. I will truly miss you both. You are so beautiful. The students love you both. When they come through the line, they see Ernesto, and they go, "We have to go to that line." Thank you, Maria.
Congratulations. Ready? 1, 2. Oh, wait. Ready? 1, 2. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Dr. Nitz. On campus field.
Thank you, Dr. Delatorre, and good evening, Clerk Chang, and members of the governing school board, superintendent, executive cabinet, and the student school board member. I have the great honor this evening of thanking and congratulating Mrs. Candy Phelan for her 28 years of service to Carver School and to the San Marino Unified School District. Now, I'm looking at the webcam because Mrs. Phelan cannot be here tonight, but I'm sure she is tuning in. Hi, Mrs. Phelan. We have the plaque for you here. And Mrs. Phelan was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and was raised in Southern California. She was one of 6 children, 2 girls and 4 boys. And Mrs. Phelan graduated from USC, earning both a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in education. Mrs. Phelan loves reading and learning new obscure facts, factoids, to teach her students. And her husband, Tom, she and her husband, Tom, have 2 daughters, Maureen and Katie. The Phelans bought their first home in San Marino in 1973 and lived on Sheffield Road, just down the street from Carver School. As their kids were growing up and attending San Marino schools, Mrs. Phelan was active in many activities at her children's schools, San Marino Junior Alliance, and the National Charity League. Mrs. Phelan renewed her teaching career as Liz Hollingsworth's assistant when Mrs. Hollingsworth was an RSP teacher at Carver. Mrs. Phelan then taught first grade students at Carver School until her retirement this year, 28 years. We're talking about thousands of students and many generations, right? Veteran and new teachers, as well as this principal, enjoy dropping by her classroom to chat about their day and to get teaching advice. Many teachers have shared that Mrs. Phelan is literally the nicest person they know. She always has the right thing to say and how to say it. Mrs. Phelan is quite humble and won't tell you that she has beautiful cursive writing, is a needlepoint expert, or is a whiz at typing. One colleague said, "I love her calm nature and soothing way she could talk to students, parents, and other teachers, but never without a sense of humor. Students loved her, parents respected her, and teachers revered her." Mrs. Phelan and her partner in crime, Lynn Denker, also a retired teacher from Carver, would create funny sayings of books for her staff members. Mrs. Phelan approached the rigors of first grade teaching with humor, laughter, fun, teamwork, compassion, and professionalism. Now, Mrs. Phelan has a love of teaching all areas of the curriculum, from tricky phonics rules, abstract math concepts, history factoids, science phenomenons. If anyone had the opportunity to overhear her hold a conversation with her first graders, you could feel her love of teaching and educating and laughing along with the first graders. Now, a former parent shared that Mrs. Phelan was everything that you could want in a first grade teacher: loving, kind, gentle, and structured. She had her class under control, and it was not only a great learning environment, but she also made it fun. She was communicative with the parents and gentle as well, in the most sensitive way. She and her first grade team were the best of friends. When they had their planning days and worked in the office conference room, it was hard to believe that they were getting anything done. Because all I could hear was laughter. I remember that. It makes us all sad just to think of not having candy at Carver School. Mrs. Phelan, we will greatly miss you. We wish you well. We wish you the best of health and happy retirement.
You want to take a picture like around her? Oh my God. In the middle. Right. That's cute. Everybody my first grader and everything Dr. Lynn said, like I could hear her soothing voice. Okay, next we have Dr. Lunar Richter, who will be honoring Mrs. Hannah Fong.
Good evening. As Manira said, it truly is bittersweet. However, it is my honor and pleasure to recognize and speak a little bit about our next retiree, Mrs. Hannah Fong. Over the past year, I've had the opportunity to work alongside Mrs. Fong and truly get to know her as a professional and as an individual who values her colleagues, her students, and unconditionally maintains students as her number one priority. She selfishly gives her time, work, and most importantly, her heart to the students she works with. I know her students and colleagues absolutely adore, respect, and enjoy working with her. She is a compassionate, dedicated, and extremely supportive educator. I consider myself fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with Ms. Fong this last year. Ms. Fong started with the San Marino Unified School District in 1999 as a gate coordinator. And she has continued to work in this district in a variety of capacities for the past 23 years. She has selflessly worked to support all students as a gate coordinator, substitute teacher, special education teacher, social studies teacher, and most recently, our amazing independent study teacher, where she took the positions by the reins at the 11th hour and did an outstanding job and made learning relevant and fun for all of her students. Hannah, we wish you all the best in this new chapter of your life. Although we are certain that the knowledge you have imparted on students and the impact you have made on so many students and staff in the San Marino Unified School District, you will continue on and your impact will continue, flourish, and be continuously acknowledged. Thank you for your years of service, commitment, dedication, and friendships. Congratulations on your retirement. And on behalf of the San Marino Unified School District, we wish you all the very best.
And Mrs. Fong just did a tremendous job for us this year. I mean, she stepped up when we needed her the most in independent study and really put together a solid program and worked so hard to make sure that every student in her independent study program was cared for and really has gone above and beyond. So thank you so much, Anne. Really. And we do need substitute teachers, Hannah, so.
Don't go too far.
That's right, don't go too far away.
Well, why'd you tell her that already? You needed to wait till she missed
Right.
a little bit.
We have one more.
Oh, no, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. We're
That's
done.
it?
That's
Okay.
it.
Okay, next, let's go to the 13B, 2021 to 22 PTA PTSA site president report on donated fund and volunteer hour in the PTA Council changing of the guard 2022 to 23 officer. Council President.
So, Catherine, did you want to lead us in this process?
Actually, okay, we will actually go, we're gonna start with our
Okay.
elementary or our school reports, but we'll start
Oh,
with our
okay,
elementary and
perfect.
bring up Erin Clarity for Valentine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so our sweet little Valentine Elementary had a wonderful year. Our motto this year was "For the love of learning." And one thing is for certain, these children have loved coming back to campus to learn. Although there were some bumps in the road, we were constantly had to make arrangements to pivot on a dime with most of all of our events. In light of the COVID surges and variants, Valentine still managed to have most everything in person, which restores everyone's love of Valentine. We opened the 2021-2022 year with the first day of school popsicle social, the welcome wagon, and the new family orientation, which brought together a crowd so surprisingly large, our little theater couldn't hold all of those parents. Clearly, our community was ready and excited to be back in person. In October, we were thrilled to throw an in-person fall fair, which we hadn't been able to do since 2019. The theme was Valentinopoly, and it rose close to $75,000. November brought the book fair and the readathon fundraisers, sprinkled with our family night and Donuts at Dawn events, which we celebrated books, learning, and community and local support. This year, Valentine PTA, oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong page. Okay, after the new year, Valentine celebrated an amazing Lunar New Year's festival equipped with dragon dances, Chinese crafts for the students, martial arts demonstrations, a staff luncheon, Chinese folklore, and a traditional fashion show. In March, our Valentine community of parents gathered for a gorgeous evening in Paris at Annandale Country Club. And towards the end of the month, we had our first ever spring music concert, orchestrated by our new music program, Encore. It was darling and so impressive. And finally, towards the end of the year, we had our engineering fair, staff appreciation week, jogathon, and our May Day celebration, which attracted double the attendance we had anticipated. Not only did Alana have to call the district to bring more chairs for the families, but our NC reiterated that this was the most attended May Day he had ever seen in his 32 years. Families were excited to be back on campus and come together again. Plus, we got to celebrate our wonderful volunteers with the Heart of Gold Awards. The support of the community was overwhelming. And with that said, the volunteerism this year was stunning. With over 22,287 hours logged for the love of learning, we were able to support our school activities, classrooms, and the fundraisers. And the generosity does not stop there. This year, Valentine PTA is allocating $100,000 to fund our enrichment programs, such as art from the Armory and music from Encore. Additionally, we are allocating $6,000 to fund our 5th grade band, orchestra, and our choir. Further, we are allocating $70,522 to fund 1 health clerk, 2 lunch aides, and 1 part-time librarian. And finally, $1,195 will fund an outdoor play lab for our TK and kindergartners, which will be located in their little play area. This year, our teachers were able to come back fully into the classroom, and it prides us to have raised close to $17,000 to offer them for their teacher wish lists. Hundreds of thousands of dollars were raised at Valentine this year, proving that we are simply the most gracious and generous community of families who clearly care tremendously about their children and the experiences and enrichment they have here at school. It is truly remarkable. And with enthusiasm, I will continue on next year. PTA president. Little arm pulling by Alana there, but I feel like I've worked out all of the kinks and have a better idea and more confidence overseeing our incredible PTA. We are looking forward to an epic 2022-2023 school year. Thank you.
And there was one thing that you forgot to mention, which was you were one of the recipients for the Heart of Gold Award this year.
Bonnie Shen from Carver.
Thank you. This was a fabulous year at Carver. This year, we were able to resume many of our normal fundraisers and programs in person. And these activities have strengthened our community and school spirit. The heart of the Carver community is its people. Our teachers and staff are second to none. Our students demonstrate good citizenship and excellence every day. Our parents are dedicated volunteers who want to make every event at Carver a smashing success. Our volunteers have logged 18,262 hours in the past year. Our parents have volunteered in the classrooms, ran many programs such as a Lunar New Year celebration in collaboration with the San Marino Chinese Club and the weekly Friday Walking School Bus Club, and raised funds via events such as the Totally Radical and Bodacious Parent Party back in March, which raised over $160,000. And the fan favorite Carver Carnival, which raised over $60,000. Not only has the Carver community been incredibly generous in donating time and talent, but the community has also donated so much funding. These funds have allowed the Carver PTA to allocate $203,000 to fund enrichment programs such as art, music, health and safety, library media, and instructional equipment. Carver Enrichment, which is the script team, is also contributing $21,461 in addition to the PTA amount to provide valuable software programs and to provide our rising 5th graders with the opportunity to try band and orchestra enrichment classes after school. The Carver community will miss our principal, Dr. Michael Lin, as he transitions into his new role at the district office. We welcome Principal Stuart Caldwell to San Marino, and we're committed to ensuring a smooth and successful transition. With enthusiasm, we pass the gavel on to Micah O'Mara. The board. I am confident that 2022-2023 will be an amazing year under her leadership. Thank you.
Jackie Chuang. Huntington Middle School. I almost said high school, sorry. Huntington Middle School. PTA.
At HMS, we were simply happy to be back on campus and to rediscover the camaraderie and joy of our community. To borrow a little bit from the high school, we wanted to do it with grace and gratitude. So I am incredibly grateful to the amazing volunteers who worked so hard this year to make it all happen. Every normal event we had kind of felt a little extra special this year, from orientation and picture day and noontime fun and sixth grade dance. It all just felt brand new and special. I did not have a sixth grader this year, but I actually got weepy at the end of the first sixth grade dance, just watching them sway to Journey's Don't Stop Believing. It just, they hadn't had it in so long, and it just felt so magical that night. We were thrilled to bring back our beloved Huntington breakfast in person, bigger and better and COVID safe. We at that point were used to seeing kids smile with their eyes, and I was just walking around watching all the big beaming smiles behind the mask, and it was just wonderful. The winter was a bit rough. We had a lot of pivoting again with COVID. But as Foxes, we re-emerged in the spring with both our Fox games and our parent party on the same day. The Fox Games was a fun celebration of the kids being kids in hamster wheels and inflatables. And then that same night, we had a Schitt's Creek themed parent party, which was a mix of elegance and ridiculous, which was middle school for you. So these events, which were followed up by a really fun Mom's Blackpink night and a Dad San Marino night, just kind of embodied all of the best of our Fox community in terms of volunteerism and school spirit. We are ending this year with celebration. He is not here, but Mr. Tapalan will remind you that we are a National Blue Ribbon School. And while the PTA can't take much credit for that, we were really happy to celebrate the fabulous teachers and staff who can. So we took them on Around the World Appreciation Week recently and fed them a lot. We celebrated our Halo Awards, and we look forward to celebrating our class of 2022 in a couple of days, who spent most of their years behind a screen, but will emerge resilient, strong, and a bit quirky, which again, we are talking about middle school. I do want to shout out the amazing staff at the front office who helped us run around on campus for the first time the last few years. Ms. Hazlett jumped in with us all in. She has been amazing. And of course, our irrepressible Mr. T, who kept us all afloat when things were rough, kept us laughing when it was kind of silly, and was steady through it all. We had an amazing executive board and many parent volunteers who logged in 9,123 volunteer hours this year. And our generous community, which was able to help us allocate to a variety of programs in the upcoming year, including $27,000 for Chromebook replacement, $20,000 to outdoor ed transportation, $19,000 to VAPA, $15,000 to athletics, $15,000 for library improvements, $6,000 for academic teams, and a variety of other contributions to our campus improvement, enrichment programs, choir accompanist, auditorium equipment, and Peace Garden, for a total allocations of $139,382. It has been an honor being part of this PTA in such a whirlwind year as we brought back our old traditions and welcome new ones. I look forward to everything HMS will do under the leadership of the awesome Jennifer Chang.
All right, and last and definitely not least, Jennifer Chuang, the San Marino High School PTSA president, and no relation to Jackie Chuang.
I am not last because we still have our great esteemed leader, Catherine Oliveros, to report on PTA Council. I will do my best to well, it's not going to be brief. All of you know I'm fairly long-winded, and as this is my last PTA president's report ever, I'm going to take some liberties with the time that you're giving me. So, good evening, members of the school board, Dr. Delatorre, and esteemed staff. I'm going to keep my mask on because I have 3 days to get through grad night and graduation, and I cannot go down now, and I am not going to miss my son's graduation. So
Understood.
I'm on. It has been my pleasure and honor to serve as San Marino High School's PTSA president this year and to work with all of you and the many dedicated volunteers at San Marino High School. My theme this year was gratitude, giving, and grace, which are the ideals that I hoped to focus on in this post-pandemic environment. Or I guess we're not really post, but now that we're back on campus. I'm pleased to present the year-end report for the SMHS PTSA, starting with gratitude for the noteworthy events and programs we were able to support this year with our volunteerism. First, we are very pleased to return to in-person executive board meetings in the fall, except for a brief hiatus during the Omicron surge. Additionally, we were able to have our association meetings in person starting in March, and our annual election meeting was the first in-person association meeting held in 2 years since leaving campus on March 13th in 2020. Our thanks to Superintendent De La Torre and the rest of district leadership, Principal Jason Kurtenbach, and all of the staff and faculty at SMHS for supporting the healthy return of students and parents to campus, and for your leadership, optimism, and ability to inspire us all to be our best. We are also very pleased to support the first ever all-campus SMHS Open House Showcase on November 10th, which highlighted the superlative academics, exceptional athletics, myriad activities, and inspiring arts programs at SMHS. I actually was going to bring a long list of all of our league championships and all of our award-winning dance teams and speech and debate, national merit scholarship finalists, and all the great things that are going on at high school. But I know that all of you know just how amazing our school is and how amazing this graduating class is. We have also added a budget line for next year to provide financial support, in addition to once again providing volunteers and collaborating with ASB and the San Marino Schools Foundation to increase participation engagement at future open house showcases. So we're looking forward to continuing that for next year. Additionally, we are proud to provide volunteer support for many other campus events, such as student registration, PSAT testing, coronation dance chaperones, the building of homecoming floats, mock interviews, safety and wellness programming, winter formal chaperones, teacher appreciation, and myriad senior activities, including the senior parent dinner and the senior class picnic, which is actually coming up this Thursday. We're also very proud to recognize 7 terrific Titans. And I was very pleased and privileged. It was an honor to be able to present the PTSA President's Award this year to the Old Guard in recognition for all of their service and dedication to putting on grad night for decades of San Marino High School students. Our total number of volunteer hours for 2021-2022 was 50,095 hours. Many of those hours, as you know, are directly related to our marquee event, Grad Night, which will be this Friday, May 27th. The class of 2022 will be celebrating Avengers style at their Marvel Universe all-night party. I not only hope, but expect to see all of you at our traditional light up event, which is tomorrow night at 7:30. And I do want to just kind of give a shout out to the many people in this room that have worked and supported Grad Night over the years. Every single one of our board members has worked a shift. Mr. Kalaki often works double shifts, stays all night for Grad Night. Mrs. Chang was at the high school today painting for us. So I know Mr. Chang has brought his son, and Mrs. Ryan and her husband have always come to volunteer, and we're just grateful for the support that the board has shown for this really important event that helps keep our San Marino seniors safe and fun all night. So we'll see you all at Grad Night. See you at Light Up tomorrow night. See you at Grad Night on Friday. Now on the financial giving side, so that was gratitude. Giving, my giving report is that our annual parent party was held on November 6th with the theme Viva Las Vegas. And I'm so proud to have been able to work with a distinctive and unique team of chairs this year, which is why it's in my report, because it was comprised a graduated alumna mom, who doesn't have kids in the schools anymore, and 2 teachers were the chairs of our parent party this year. So they really put the T into the PTSA this year, and it was a successful event full of collaboration and incredible contributions made by not just San Marino High School parents, but the faculty because of the team's leadership. So it was a great event. We finished the year with our annual Titan Golf Classic, Titan Land, played at Alhambra Golf Course. The dinner afterwards was extremely well attended. Thank you, Dr. Del Torre, for always coming to all of our events.
Sure.
And both fundraisers were a great success. Thank you to the many board members and district administration who attended both events. It was really great to see you there. And again, we always feel the love and support from all of you. So thank you for that. With the success of our fundraisers, we held both a fall and spring allocations, where I'm pleased to report that we donated $8,800 towards safety. Those were the panic blowers that Mr. Kurtenbach recommended. $8,733.55 towards classroom academics, $17,144 towards visual and performing arts enrichment, $15,475 towards athletics, supporting the athletics teams and the sports needs, for a total of $50,154. Through our PTSA base budget, we also sponsored 6 Java with Jasons, 5 teacher appreciation events, the ASB homecoming and end of year luau, purchased new furniture and supplies for the Titan Wellness Center, provided training and resources for SMHS counselors, and budgeted to support the Student Link Crew and peer mentoring programs. We also collected $16,541 for our Teachers Wish List program, for an additional $45,654 of financial support to SMHS teachers and students. Additionally, we were able to, every year, the PTSA grants scholarships to graduating seniors. This year, we gave $5,262 to outstanding seniors, one of whom is your very own student board member, Chang.
Thank you again, by the way.
So we are very pleased to honor with a PTSA scholarship, bringing our total financial support to $101,069. Sorry, $101,070. Yes, and I'd like to finish my report with a request for grace. This is my last year in the district with a graduating senior. So I'm not going to do this. Okay, for the past 15 years, SMUSD has been a blessing to my family, and not just for the incredible education and formative environment that both my children were privileged to enjoy. Volunteering in this community has been an unparalleled experience in leadership, character development, determination, and resilience. And the friendships I have made co-laboring with all of you has been one of the greatest influences in my life. I'm grateful for the choice that we made so many years ago to move to San Marino and make it our home. And thank all of you who came before us, before me, to make it an incredible place to live and to volunteer. So with gratitude, giving, and grace, and the privilege of serving this year, I pass the SMHS gavel on to Nicolette first and her wonderful executive board. Thank you for the last 15 years, and
Thank you so much for your incredible leadership. And I know that you'll be back in some form, so I'm not going to get too upset.
Grandma.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
grandma, right?
That's right.
Someday.
I really should have gone first. So good evening, members of the school board, Dr. De La Torre and your executive cabinet. you're over there. Sorry. So I have had the wonderful opportunity to serve as council president for the last 2 years and to work with everyone in this room now in several capacities throughout this time. It has also been an amazing gift to work with the many dedicated volunteers throughout all of the San Marino PTAs. So I am pleased to present the year-end report of the San Marino Council of PTAs, starting with our total number of volunteer hours. So in the 2021 to 2022 school year, throughout all 4 units and councils, San Marino PTA members have volunteered 101,418 hours.
Wow.
If you take California prevailing wage, which I would say is still underpaid, the PTA community has gifted over $3.25 million in labor in working to benefit the district and our students this year.
That's incredible.
I would like to highlight some of the district-wide events and successes we've had this year. Our council held a very successful Pta Reflections Contest, which was chaired by Mandy Ao Young. This year's theme was "I Will Change the World By." And we, out of our entrance and district, we were happy to have 4 first district, first, second, and third place winners. And we actually had a state winner for the visual arts category, who was 6th grader Angie Lai. Her drawing titled "Believing" was named the Outstanding Interpretation winner. And Angie captioned her piece, "The key to change something starts with an idea that was outside of the box, an idea that is thought of as crazy. I believe I can change the world by believing in the idea, and then applying the concept and knowledge that I learned from school to make it possible. What I want to say is, as long as you believe and dream that you can change the world, then one day it will happen. I aim to make the world a more welcoming place for all people, regardless of background or social status." The 6th grader.
Yeah, it's incredible.
We also had a first district commemorative scholarship winner, Emma Liu from San Marino High School. She was celebrated at the senior awards ceremony, both by our school leadership and by the first district leadership. Emma concluded her entry essay with the following statement: "As I approach these final few months of school, I appreciate the time I have taken to give back to my community and to create a better world for those around me. I grow and learn every day and am excited about college and the challenges that lie ahead." And we wish her the very best. And we are just so very proud of all of our talented students. See, earlier this spring, we honored many dedicated individuals with the PTA Honorary Service Awards at our Starry Night Founders Day celebration. That was organized by Nicolette First and Janice Sejimoto. We honored the volunteers that make our community shine. For council, we were pleased to celebrate an outstanding parent volunteer, an extraordinary teacher, and 2 school board members, Mr. Chang, and also Nam Jack, who received a special recognition of service, as she had already been awarded all of the national PTA awards that are available to give. In April, we held our annual Pta Council Training Day, which is organized by Marcy Windling. In the beautiful setting of the old mill, we made connections with our PTA teammates, practiced mindfulness, and gave training specifically designed for the many different roles in San Marino PTA. Although this year started with a great deal of uncertainty, it has been a fantastic year for San Marino schools and PTA. I am so proud to have been one of the gears on the PTA machine this year. We have so much to be proud of, and I will take these accomplishments with me into the next challenges. I would like to thank the school board, Dr. De La Torre, and her cabinet, our 4 amazing principals, to assistant principals, and all of the amazing teachers and staff in San Marino. You have accomplished so much for our children this year, starting with the huge gift of just keeping our doors open all year long. And to these 4 smart, hardworking, kind, and fun PTA presidents, thank you so much. Under your tireless leadership, your dedicated boards and committees have achieved miracles at your respective schools this year, including raising over $400,000 in support of students. It has been so much fun working with you all, and you've truly made this job the easiest one in town. And I would like to congratulate and welcome our incoming council board president, Jackie Chuang. So it's, I guess, also my honor to make sure that our new presidents are welcomed. We would like to take a moment to welcome our incoming Carver PTA president, Micah O'Mara. Aaron Clougherty can just stand up and sit back down. Thank you so much. And then our incoming Huntington Middle School president is Jennifer Kang, or Jen Chang. And our incoming high school PTSA president will be Nicolette First. Please take your, or well, why don't we could take a picture and then take spots in the new chairs.
Yeah, you need to come back.
Oh, sorry.
Like, I'll take the picture, girlfriend. Okay.
Seriously.
As long as you are. I know we're in. It's on the PTA website. That's to say, for Jennifer, I
I think you'll hopefully please forgive us all because I have a feeling we're all going to run because we've got grad night.
No, that's totally fine. We understand.
Grad night,
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for all the outgoing and incoming president. This is the difference, our San Marino community so strong, yeah, because of the PTA commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next, we are going to the agenda 13C May revise. Dr. Michael Lin, I'm the principal to the money man.
Yeah. Good evening, Clerk Chang.
Right over here.
The blue one.
It's right over here.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Good evening, Clerk Chang, members of the school board, and Dr. Linda Delatorre and Executive Cabinet, and also school board member. Now, I know the PTA just left, but I would like to thank our PTAs, our schools foundation, and our new presidents for being an indispensable part of our school district. Now, this evening, I'm presenting the third leg of this three-legged stool, the governor's May revision, as an information item to the school board. Okay, the governor's May revision provides changes to the budget proposed in January of this year. And like the governor's proposed budget in January, the May revision is a proposal. The state Senate and Assembly negotiates with the governor, and a balanced state budget is due to the governor for his signature by June 15th. Last year, the state's budget was enacted on June 28th. And in the last 5 years, the state's budget has been enacted at the end of June.
You want me to press?
Yeah, next slide, please. There we go. Now, in the governor's May revision, we welcome the very good news of robust revenues as the state is seeing historic surplus. We are very grateful for the governor's revised budget, which brings the average per pupil funding to a record high. We're looking at a proposed average funding per student of $17,000 per year. It is important for our public to know that San Marino Unified School District has historically gotten less than 85 cents to the dollar in state funding due to the way LCFF is designed. The local control funding formula provides more funding for districts that have higher unduplicated counts of English learners, students who qualify for free or reduced lunch, and foster youth counts. We're also looking at a significant decline in the average daily attendance across the state as a result of people moving out, having less children, or staying home due to COVID. Next slide, please. There are 4 major changes in the governor's May revision. For the next fiscal year, the May revision assumes attendance is down approximately 100,000 students. There is also an increase associated with a proposed temporary adjustment to offset low attendance to enrollment ratios. School Services of California calls that attendance yield instead of calling it attendance to enrollment ratios. Now, we're also very grateful for an increase related to the statutory COLA, cost of living adjustment, from 5.33% to 6.56%. Finally, there is an increase for a proposed augmentation of 3% on top of the cost of living adjustment. Next slide, please. Okay, now let's get into the weeds just a little bit here and look at what the governor's priorities are in terms of ongoing and one-time funding. 42% of the proposed package the governor is proposing will go to ongoing programs, with the largest going to the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. San Marino Unified School District's share of this restricted grant amount is $136,000, not the $403 million. So we get $136,000 in terms of the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program once we apply for that grant. There's also a small reduction in TK expansion and a small increase to the child nutrition reimbursement rate. Okay, next slide, please. Now, the bulk of the proposed package from our governor are in the form of one-time discretionary funds. The governor proposes an $8 billion fully discretionary block grant distributed to all local educational agencies on a per pupil basis. And we are considered as a local educational agency, just another term for a county office of education or a school district. This equates to nearly $1,500 per ADA per student based on current attendance data. Now, while discretionary, the Newsom administration intends funds to be used to maintain staffing levels, cover operational costs, implement recently created programs, and support student mental health and wellness. Okay, next slide, please. In sum, the governor's proposal contains the largest funding package since the adoption of Prop 98. The bulk of the $32.9 billion proposed is for one-time discretionary grants, which includes a one-time discretionary $1,500 per pupil. Okay, next slide, please. Again, as we, as to how we may use these one-time discretionary funds, the trailer bill language encourages districts to maintain staffing levels, implement other recently created programs covering operational costs and supporting student mental health and wellness. Next slide, please. Okay, here are some of the costs school employers are facing. School districts are experiencing increasing ongoing costs to statutory benefits. And sadly, the governor's proposal provides no pension relief for school districts. PERS and STIRS, these are the retirement programs for classified and certificated employees respectively, and other statutory benefits erode cost of living adjustments. Contribution rates to STIRS and PERS are set to increase. And unlike previous years, there's no state investment in either the rate buy down or address the unfunded liabilities of CalPERS or CalSTIRS. Additionally, the governor proposes $1.8 billion in one-time funds to address outstanding school facility maintenance issues and enable schools to make energy efficient upgrades. Again, these proposals are subject to negotiations between the governor and the state legislature. Next slide, please. Here are some trends. School districts are also experiencing soaring fixed costs with inflation well above 8%. For example, HVAC equipment prices increased approximately 50% since the start of the pandemic. Electrical components up approximately 75%. There have also been significant supply chain disturbances that affect labor productivity. Next slide, please. Moreover, the cost of utilities, fuel, insurance, materials and supplies have all gone up. The overall ongoing funding for Prop 98 is projected to be $110 billion in the 22-23 fiscal year, the same as the current year, which is an indication that the 3-year surge in revenue at the state level, mainly from capital gains, receipts, and personal income taxes may be leveling off. Now, the economic boom that we've had is unlikely to continue, and there are concerns of a national recession in the near future. Major risks include high inflation, continued global supply chain disruptions, tight labor market, low consumer confidence, possibility of another COVID-19 surge, impact of federal monetary policy on the stock market volatility, the Ukraine-Russia war, global food shortages, and the effects of climate change, such as wildfires, drought, and other extreme weather events that particularly impact California. Next. So despite the uncertainties, here is what we know is happening and will happen in the days ahead. The Legislative Budget Committee and Subcommittee hearings are currently underway. Both chambers of the legislature are working diligently to be unified in negotiations with the governor. And on June 15th, which is the deadline for the legislature to deliver to the governor a balanced budget for his signature. In summary, here are the 3 takeaways from this informational item presentation. The governor's May revision proposes to provide one-time discretionary funding that exceeds the statutory COLA to help address inflationary pressure and higher pension costs. The proposed hold harmless provision will buffer temporary drops in average daily attendance and smooth out funding over time. The legislature could, however, the legislature could adjust the discretionary grant proposal to reflect its own priorities. Next slide, please. Okay, so despite these uncertainties and the fact that we have to have a local budget in place before the legislature passes the budget for the governor's signature, our school district and all local school districts have multiple opportunities throughout the year to make adjustments. For example, throughout the fiscal year, we can provide updates to the County of Education. And based on the governor's May revision, I will be presenting to the board the SMUSD budget on June 14th. So in about less than a month, for your approval on June 28th. We'll have to get the district budget sent to the county by the end of June. Now, after that, we have 45 days to revise. We have the opportunity to make revisions, to make modifications after the state budget gets enacted. And there are 2 other opportunities as well. We have the 2 interim updates and reports throughout the fiscal year, and all adopted budget and interim reports must contain revenue and expenditure estimates for the current year and 2 subsequent fiscal years. Okay, now this information presentation is a compilation of some of the most relevant and pertinent information gathered from webinars and resources from the following agencies and organizations. And thank you, and I would like to entertain any questions that the board may have at this point.
Is there anyone have a question? Okay, Jen?
I have a few. Forgive me for some of it ignorance and some of it curiosity. So you had listed, this is an easy, hopefully easy one. You listed a number of increasing costs regarding like labor, supply chain disturbances, labor prices, electrical. Do you have any information or any indication that we're going to be seeing any increase in water costs?
Yeah, I haven't done that particular research yet, but everything is going up in terms of for school district employers. The cost of utilities is going up in general, not just electricity, water, but we could certainly look into the actual water bills. I know my water bills have gone up as a consumer, so we all experience the same.
And then I guess on that note as well, then are we seeing any increasing costs for technology and network and infrastructure? Yes. So basically everything's just going up. Okay. So in light of that then, so thank you so much for saying that San Marino gets 85 cents to the dollar. It helped me get a sense of, even though everybody's always talking about how much money the school districts are getting, to get a sense of what that translates to San Marino is really good for me. So I, calculated it at 14,450. And I believe that's what we were spending per student about 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, about 14,000. And so I imagine with increasing costs, with increasing everything, that we're really looking at a much higher number of per pupil expenditures at this point. So I would just request that at our June meeting, if we can have a sense of what that difference is, that would be helpful for me, because as much as I love Dr. Lynn going into the weeds, a lot of it just, I kind of would appreciate being able to boil it down to really seeing what our needs are for this year and for outgoing years, so we can start to plan. I did have a question. Did the governor's budget or did the Department of Education address any of the special education costs?
Yes, there was one mention about that. And I don't have it off the top of my head.
I think they said something, I was on a talk with Locksta. They actually talked about, they said something about 500 million had been proposed at one point, but I didn't really understand what they were saying.
Yeah, there's AB 602. Most of that money goes to the SELPA. And then we benefit from that partnership in that consortium.
Okay, so that's through SELPA, but that's not necessarily going to assist us with our rising, like as a district, rising at special ed costs. It's more program service costs, right?
So the COLA does affect special education, and special education is a interesting budgetary item, because we have to maintain what's called the maintenance of effort. If we spend, we have to spend the same or more next year, every year.
Even if we know that we need to make reductions, we still have to comply with the maintenance of effort, which is exactly what Dr. Lynn just said. You have to spend as much as you spent in the prior year, if not more. So it's really an evaluation of how you're spending your money.
Right.
And whether you're spending it on programs or people or both.
So the cost of special education in the 21-22 school year, last year, the actual budget, actual expenditures was 22% of the expenditures is in special education.
In this past current school year,
right.
we're finishing.
12 years ago, it was 12%. And I did this 2 nights ago on a Saturday night, looking that up.
So that is something that we really have to pay attention to. The fact that sped costs are, now exceeding 20% of our budget, that's really high for a school district. And what School Services of California has said repeatedly is that, while enrollment in California is declining, special education enrollment is increasing. So school districts' costs will go up because it is more expensive to educate a special needs student than it is a gen ed student. So those costs are going to continue to climb while your revenue is going to be decreased because you're not being funded on as many students going forward. So that's a really big issue and one to watch here in San Marino for sure.
Are we expecting any relief from the federal government?
I think that was mentioned in one of the webinars. I remember something about 10%, an increase to 10% from the federal government. And they promised much more in, the legislation, right? Just that the federal government isn't delivering the mandated, costs, mandated amounts.
And then I could ask more, but if anyone else.
Go ahead.
Okay, so a couple of things that I've been reading in response to the governor's, to the budget, that I just want to be able for us as a board to consider. I'm hearing a lot of enthusiasm for the surplus, but it's always tempered by this conversation around the state appropriation limit and how that's really going to drive us to this fiscal cliff potentially in a couple of years, which may also coincide with possibly a recession. So the recommendations that I keep seeing is they're watching that, they're addressing it in the legislature, but there's also this really big, giant admonition to bulk your reserves up.
Yes.
So is that something as a district that we are keeping in mind as we look at all this money, not as a windfall that's going to keep giving, but really as an out years, what are we looking at? How do we spend appropriately now for our students to meet their needs while still ensuring our students in the future will have what they need without when and if we drop.
And one of the biggest responsibilities of any school district is the, making sure there's fiscal solvency that exists. We may have a lot of surplus this year, but the indicators are pointing to a possible recession. So of course, we don't have a clear crystal ball, but we do have, a collective way of looking at this and then bearing that collective responsibility to make sure that future years out, because we have to do a multi-year projection, not just this year, but 2 years into the future, to make sure that we're fiscally solvent and make sure that we're not looking at, layoffs or any staffing changes, because it's not just livelihoods, but, we are in the people's business. So this is where I would say the school board will agonize, but its administration would provide the menu of options. And also when I present the budget as an information item on June 14th, there will be some creative mechanisms to address some of that, as well as to make sure that we meet the statutory reserve cap.
My next question was going to be if we're entering near that cap. Okay.
So one of the things that School Services of California and Capital Advisors will continuously stress is that one-time monies should not be spent on, and they say this, things that eat and breathe, because one-time money can only be spent once. And so when it comes to the money that the school district is spending on human resources, literally, that needs to be coming from ongoing resources. So that is something that we have to manage very carefully. And one of the board's goals, which you're going to hear about after Dr. Lin's presentation, was to address fiscal solvency in the out years. And so one of the things that the school district has been doing to meet that goal is to develop a long-term multi-year plan by which we can achieve fiscal stability and sustainability over time. Which is not easy for us to do, but the district will be coming back and presenting the Board of Education with a request to commit funds, as we did last year, to certain resources. And the other thing that I just want to remind the board about is the outstanding COP balance, which is still an issue that I think that the Board of Education needs to address. So we've got that $6 million in COP debt that if we don't take care of that one way or the other, we will end up paying over $11 million to solve that by the time the COP matures. So we've got to figure out whether or not to use some one-time money to pay that down, or we have to determine whether or not the district is prepared to go out for a bond. that will pay that.
Right. So we're gonna present some options to the board.
Mhm.
And the COP, there's the interest component as well as the principal component. We also, I don't know if you remember, we've had to borrow money to make payroll called the trans. And so the interest rates are shooting up too. So there's certain factors that we have to consider. Is it even worthwhile? So we're going to present options to the board and factors for you to consider.
Having said that, the 6.56 in COLA is good news, right? I mean, it's really good news. And so there has been a lot of favorable information coming from the state on the school district's budget, which is positive. So I don't want it to sound like it's all doom and gloomy because it certainly isn't. We just have to be conservative in how we manage it long term.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lynn. That's great.
Can I just ask one question on the
Go ahead.
the COP balance issue? Did we recently receive money from the state reimbursing us for state matching?
Yes, so we received $2.6 million from the state. And we had applied for that money probably 4 or 5 years ago, and we just received it. And that was to reimburse the school district for monies that we took out of our general fund to be applied toward the project. Before the Barth Athletics complex was completely done. So we were anticipating getting that money back to reimburse us for that. But now we're going to, be asking the board the question, should we be applying that one-time amount to the $6 million outstanding COP balance? Or should we commit that money for something else? Again, knowing that the original intention was that we were going to just pay ourselves back in the general fund for monies that we took out of the general fund to pay for the bar.
But there are certain
Limitations and restrictions, yes. Yes.
so
But,
it can only be used for certain things.
This money, but we do have other monies that are in one-time categories. And so we can take from that and transfer, but to keep it very clean, we just need to be thinking about the $2.6 million and whether that should be used again to offset the COP and bring that $6 million balance down. Or is it time for us to start working on a district-wide facilities needs assessment and a facilities master plan that we can use to address a potential bond going forward, in which case that would take care of that. And that money could be freed up to be used for something else.
And is the 6.56% COLA, that's not one-time money, correct?
No, that's ongoing.
That's ongoing.
That's ongoing.
Mhm.
That's statutory. So that is something we use in the budget planning process.
But did you say that a lot of that was getting eaten up by the rising pension costs because we have no state relief?
Right, even though there is the proposed 3% on top of the 6.56, that 3% is proposed. The legislature may or may not agree with that, but the 6.5% is statutory right now. It is something that we are factoring in the budgeting process.
So that's a done deal.
That's yes, that's
We
law.
can
Right
count
now.
on that.
Yes.
6.56.
Great, that's a great tool.
It is. Yeah, really is.
And I'm sure you'll talk about it much more at the budget, but if I can just ask you with regard to the CalPERS and CalSTRS, I understand that that's going up and it looked like it was about 25% increase.
Yeah. Well,
I guess I understand relative to what it was, it will be 25% more. But can I ask I'm trying to figure out how to phrase the question. We've got an increase of 6.56% in overall income. And then we have one expenditure, which is going up by 25%. How do those two relate with each other? Is that 25% increase going to swallow up 1% of the 6.56% increase, or more or less?
Yeah. And that's what, we're gonna, in the pre-negotiation process with our associations, we look at the 1% cost, which includes the salaries for certificated and classified, as well as the statutory benefits, not including health and welfare, because that's separate. And then we take the total, divide by 100, get that 1%. That becomes a calculating factor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Clarke, but are you asking what the dollar value is of that increase in the in the retirement rate for 22-23, and then and equal to that, what percentage of that?
Yeah, I'm
Roads,
gonna
the
make up,
6.56?
what I'm gonna say is totally made up numbers, okay, but just
Right.
for purposes asking the question. Good news is hypothetically, is this what's happening? Good news is COLA is going up 6.5%. Bad news is the CalPERS, CalSTRS 25% increase actually equates to a 10% increase in expense, so we're a negative 4%. Is it, or whatever those numbers are? I'm just trying to figure out. In the end, how good is the 6.56% increase when we are looking at this 25% increase of CalPERS, CalSTRS? And I understand in the future, it may be affected by negotiations, but based on the numbers we have right now, what can you give just a rough estimate?
This is kind of early because we recently got this information. Also, it's a proposal, so we're gonna have to wait for the legislature to see what their take is. Once it's passed, we have a much better gauge.
Okay.
I would say that the risk of the 6.56% getting eroded is there. It's always there
Or
because
more.
the governor unfortunately didn't fund anything, didn't provide any relief towards STRS and PERS this year.
Okay.
So it's gonna hurt us there.
So let's wait and see. In
Yeah,
other words,
and-
we still got more things to come.
Similar to
Okay.
what Vice President Chang was saying, the cost of living is going up, right? So those costs are going up too, right? So that's going to erode into the increase in revenue that we're receiving in the form of a COLA, right? Because the cost that the district is going to incur to educate each student is going to go up because of inflation, right? So all of those things, we can give you our best estimate by calculating those things and bringing them back. That will be part of the budget, I think, presentation that Dr. Lin will be delivering in June. So we just got this information. We haven't really performed those calculations, but your question is a very good one.
And can I just clarify? I think you said that on June 14th, you're going to make that.
June 14th is the budget informational presentation.
So that's 3 weeks from now. Do we not have a June 7th meeting?
The action items on the 28th.
So we have to present the budget twice.
I know, but specifically, I'm asking because I'm going to be out of town from June 10 to June 19. And I had thought that there was going to be a June 7 meeting, not a June 14 meeting. So when is the next board meeting, I
Okay.
guess is the question.
So that's an upcoming agenda item because we're going to talk about special board meetings being scheduled. But the regular board meeting, right, that has been on the calendar is the 14th and the 28th.
17 and 28.
Yeah, those are the two regular meetings, but we may, in answer to your question, we may be scheduling.
I don't think we can present or approve a budget in a special board meeting. Though.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about the budget. He was just asking about a meeting because he's not going to be here, right?
Well,
Okay,
I'm
that's about
going to be out of,
the
yeah,
budget.
and this specific part of the discussion doesn't have to directly be for you, Dr.
Yeah.
Lin, but maybe later in the, under the superintendent communication, we can talk about how, because I will be out of town chaperoning the speech and
yeah.
debate team, we can make some arrangements.
Okay,
Thanks.
is that Ms. Ryan, you have any question?
Yes, I do. Thank you so much, Mr. Chang. Dr. Lin, when we're talking about declining enrollment, we're talking about the increased costs of STRS and PERS, and we're talking about the increasing costs to our special ed programs as well as other expenditures, the cost of education. What are some of the assumptions that we need to make in order to work towards looking at the pension cost? Because that's something we have to address besides the COP. What are some things that we can do as we're thinking about it? I know you're coming back to present, but what are some things that you would like the board to be kind of thinking about?
I would say, the governor has given us a good lead on this. He has proposed 58% of the package as one-time discretionary, knowing that ongoing compounds. So what the Latori mentioned earlier is one of the goals that we have this year as a district is the fiscal solvency, fiscal stability. And the governor focusing his package on a one-time as opposed to ongoing is I would say it's a very fiscally responsible approach. So I would say that leadership could trickle down to all levels. Now, of course, once the state legislature passes this, that gives us more information. The reality is we have to get the budget sent to the county by the end of June. The legislature has to deliver their budget to the governor on June 15th. And historically, the governor has signed about a week or 2 weeks later, which means we have to work in parallel with this. We do have a 45-day revision opportunity after that. And that's where the budget is a fluid live document. So we can make tweaks, actually the board can make tweaks to this, to the budget.
Yeah, because on the one hand, they're saying you have to maintain your and implement your programs, and you have to maintain your staffing, but it's not ongoing in terms of the money, because the COLA, in my opinion, is well spent because we've got so many increases in each of them. Yeah.
Right. So if the 3% on top of COLA is approved and passed by the legislature, that gives us more wiggle room. And that will be factored into the 45-day revision after the budget is sent to the county.
Okay. And are we looking to increase our reserve? And what's the cap? I know you alluded
Right.
to it.
There's that cap we have to factor in, but we have options for the board with brainstorming and researching. And then looking at it, of course, based on the goal of fiscal solvency and fiscal stability, ensuring that the out years are not going to be shortchanged. So that's going to be coming up.
Thank you, Dr. Lin.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. If we can go back to the net LCFF increase related to the January one time. So I'm glad you list over all the items. So can you share with us this one? Can you go back to this? The one time. I think there's the page. Which before
Net
that?
LCFF increase relative to January one
yeah.
time.
Okay. So with this presentation, you think for the coming the year, so you think what we will participate for this? See the which one probably is our priority?
Oh, so this is the one-time net LCFF
right.
increase relative to January.
Yeah.
What I'm looking at is the discretionary block grant is the bellwether there. That's the $8 billion, which equates to $1,500 per ADA. And this is a proposal, right? This is all still at a proposal phase.
Yeah, right, right.
So if we get that will help us defray some of the costs that the governor isn't funding.
Yeah. Well, for example, you know, the second line, you know, the deferred maintenance.
Yep. So
by the May we get 1850, right? So is that times to our ADA, right? Or not necessary?
I'm not sure if that's
the total amount, right?
that's
That's just the total
yeah.
increase between, he's just showing you the governor's budget in January,
that's
but may revise in the difference.
Yeah, is that for the, if you look at the May, that mean that
no change
per student
or no, that says difference.
No, that's
It's not per ADA.
no, the 1.85 billion is statewide.
Is that a comma though, or?
That's a comma. So those are in millions. So that's 1.85 billion deferred maintenance statewide.
Yeah.
So the governor has
Statewide,
added to a one-time deferred maintenance. So basically, my guess is the governor is basically saying, if this passes, right? Governor is saying, okay, school districts, You agonize over this. You figure this out. We're not going to help you with pearls and stirs,
Yeah.
but you figure it out.
Yeah.
Because in some sense, that is kind of local control, right?
But this number, again, you said is more for San Marino, it's like 85 cents to the dollar. So we have to
yes,
take all of these and
that's-
divide and like basically take 15% off of all of this.
Something like that.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
kind of like the bottom line.
Like a ballpark amount, right? The $8 billion one, the discretionary block grant, my understanding is that is per ADA base. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, but once the legislature passes this and this is approved, then more details are going to come out.
So with this on the list, is that consider each item consider is a restrict fund, right? Even you are not touched for that item, is that you still can spend or you cannot?
Yeah, my understanding is the discretionary block grant it isn't restricted. Everything else appears to be restricted. Like deferred maintenance, we cannot pay, in aid. Community schools, we can't take that and pay, the principal.
And some of these, we don't necessarily even qualify for, right?
Right, exactly.
Green school,
Right.
bus grants, I'm like, we have no
Right.
buses.
Yeah.
That's a good point because the legislatures, one of the priorities for the legislature is transportation. For our district, it's irrelevant. Now, if the legislature says we're going to actually governor's proposal, we don't like this, put some money in transportation, this money goes down, right? So
Any chance we can get that money for transportation and special ed services?
I wish.
Right now?
I mean, if it falls under the categoricals that we can qualify for, of course, we're going to seek it. Any opportunities that exist, but usually we don't qualify, but we do look at the grant opportunities on a regular basis. So the county sends us information. We do research on CDE's website. So there are multiple eyes looking at pots of money and how we can qualify for them.
Dr. Director's done an amazing job with that.
Okay, is there anyone have a more question? If not, then thank you for Dr. Lin. We are going to the 13D for 2021 to 22 year end for goal update, Dr. The territory.
Thank you, Clerk Chang, members of the Board of Education, executive team, student board member. Thank you, sir. So this evening, I would like to present to the Board of Education the goals report. At the end of the year, we want to take a look back at what we have accomplished in terms of meeting the board's goals and objectives that were originally established at the beginning of the school year. Right, right. What am I pointing at, Dr. Choi? It's not working. There we go. It just did. Or did you just hit?
Try it now. See.
Okay. There, okay, got it, okay. So just by way of background, and on July 30th, the Board of Education met at the Huntington Library and was led by the California School Board Association facilitator, Angelina Pride, in the development of goals for the current school year, 2021-22. On August 4th of 2021, the leadership team met at Huntington Library also for their annual leadership retreat and took the goals that the board had developed and created its own site-based goals and objectives that were completely aligned with the board's goals. August 11th was the first day of school and our first opportunity to begin that work. So between August 11th, 2021 and May 1st, 2022, the school district leadership team was actively working on the implementation of the goals and objectives to meet each one of those goals that the board had established on July 30th. Okay, so goal number 1 was effectively address the social emotional well-being of students and staff. And just by way of history, I think that this was very important to the Board of Education as we were meeting and discussing this last July, because we were right in the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic and well aware that many of our students were in isolation for long extended periods of time, and that social emotional wellness was an issue that was of paramount importance to not only the school district, but to parents and to students. So the action steps that were developed to meet this goal was that we developed a plan to support the physical, social, and emotional well-being of students and staff. And this was actually funded by the ELOP grant, which Dr. Richter worked extensively on to make sure that we were not supplanting and that we were using that money appropriately and efficiently in accordance with its intentions. We had the WeTip, which is an anonymous reporting system that was used for the enhancement of being able to address SEL issues. Student bullying, as an example, was one of the most consistent WeTip messages and reports that we received this year, either perceived or actual bullying that was taking place at the school sites. We also have the ability for students or parents or bystanders to be able to report anonymously on the middle school's website, and that's been in place for quite some time now. And that goes directly to the principal or assistant principal for review and investigation. So whenever they receive an anonymous report, the assistant principal will begin an investigation. We have second step curriculum at the elementary that is SEL curriculum, and our elementary school counselor has been providing those lessons. We have the Where Everyone Belongs program at Huntington Middle School, which is speaks directly to the SEL, the social emotional wellness of our students. The Safe School Ambassadors program is a program that a lot of school districts are using currently, and it teaches our students to be upstanders as opposed to being bystanders. So when they see something, they are trained through this program to take appropriate action that doesn't put them in a position of danger. It simply puts them in a position of empowerment to be able to intervene when someone is being bullied on the school campus. Link Crew is a mentorship program that has been in place at San Marino High School. And so that was supported this year as a result of this goal. And then, of course, the board is well aware of the wellness centers at the middle and the high school. And the Huntington Middle School staff has worked a lot on making sure that the wellness center at Huntington Middle School is up and running prior to the start of our upcoming school year. We do plan to have a grand reopening of the Huntington Middle School Wellness Center, where we will invite dignitaries from some of our partner organizations and local politicians as well. We have worked extensively with Tonya Alhendi at San Marino High School, Jason Kurtenbach, and Carlos to ensure that we have MFT interns staffing the high school's wellness center and Huntington Middle School's wellness center. That is all working through referrals, and parents can refer, peers can refer, you can self-refer to go into the wellness center and receive services. It's very effective at San Marino High School, and it's a very popular place for students to receive the support that they need when they are feeling stressed or anxious. I'm sure our wonderful student board member can speak to that. We were initially concerned that there would be some stigma attached to using the wellness center, but that isn't happening at all, right? I mean, students are just going in. It is a very welcoming environment. No one is judging anyone else for using the wellness center. So it's really been a very successful endeavor. We also have an employee assistance program, which is free to all of our employees. And human resources, our principals, assistant principals, and some of the counselors have referred employees to the EAP to receive services and support in a variety of different areas. Care Solace is a program that has been used in during the pandemic, post-pandemic. Care Solace has been very helpful in providing referrals to mental health providers for our employees. And then the Cal Schools annual survey is something that Dr. Richter is aware of, right?
California Healthy Kids Survey.
Yes. And so the California, sorry, I didn't recognize that abbreviation. The California Healthy Kids Survey has gone out. And that is an annual survey that is completed. And we use that information to be able to develop programs and to support students in the manner in which they need to be supported.
By the way, for the last two, the Care Solace, should also add we have also have a support from the health, mental health.
Yes, we should
So
add
Tony
that.
routinely, send some the case.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. We will add that to the list. Thank you. Goal number, this remote is sensitive. Goal number 2, address learning regression and variability caused by the pandemic. So we had an assistant superintendent led committee of teacher stakeholders that were reviewing diagnostics. And we, through that process, Dr. Richter was able to get the committee support to acquire an assessment program diagnostic tools. And that was at the elementary iReady. And the iReady program is being used in classrooms weekly, and initially as an assessment tool, and then it was used to develop individualized programs to meet kids where they are. And it has been very successful from what I understand. And Dr. Richter can, of course, speak to that at length. So iReady was very helpful. The assistant superintendent is preparing to work with stakeholders at the secondary level to review again diagnostics, assess and address learning loss that has taken place. And there's been lots of meetings and conversations with the high school principal and assistant principal and our assistant sup of ed services on that endeavor. And they'll be putting that committee together in the fall. So we have had site and district-led interventions that has been ongoing since we returned from the summer. And I know that at the elementary schools, we have had reading intervention programs that are very strong and well-supported, and a variety of other interventions on behaviors and other things that are going on. San Marino High School has had after-school support in all areas of need. Huntington Middle School has had the homework club. They have credentialed teachers that are working after school to support students in the core academic programs to be able to get them caught up. Huntington Middle School has worked really hard on identifying any students that need intervention and support. And I know that that's an ongoing endeavor there. And then the ELOP and A through G grant was received to provide extended learning and summer remediation for our students that were affected by the pandemic. And Dr. Richter has been working very closely with the summer school principals to make sure that that happens. And I know we've had some challenges in being able to hire teachers. I think teachers are tired. This whole transition coming out of a pandemic and providing virtual instruction and then making the shift to in-person instruction and having to address some of the behaviors in the classroom that teachers were not accustomed to and kids weren't accustomed to being in school, so they didn't have the routine down. Very, very taxing on students and teachers. And so a lot of our teachers are planning to take a break this summer, but we do have many teachers that are going to be teaching summer school as well. So we're doing a really good job in that area, I would say. And this is Danielle Blatchley's first year as our secondary summer school principal for PT affiliates. She's doing a great job. And then we have tiered intervention that's being handled by San Marino High School counselors. And everyone is aware that we have a very new counseling team at San Marino High School. But one of the things that Jason and Carlos have bragged about is the fact that these counselors have really, really worked hard to get to know all the students on their caseload and to be able to address the social emotional issues that our students really need to have addressed in order for them to be the best that they can be with their academic loads. So let's go to goal number 3, provide professional development for all employees at the district. And the good news is we have lots of one-time money to support professional development, which is wonderful because that you spend one time and you are done. It doesn't require ongoing supports. Action steps, we did receive a 2-year grant from LACO to be able to support our UDL professional development. And we've had opportunities to receive professional development through the County Office of Education free of charge. I think that was most recently the UDL, correct? Correct. And we're hoping to be able to provide in-person UDL, right? That is a goal. Professional development in the upcoming year, which we believe will be more impactful. Absolutely. We have scheduled 2 optional day professional development days, and those opportunities were again funded by ELOG, and were very successful. That Dr. Richter was able to secure Katie Martin to come in and train our teachers on student-centered learning, which was a very effective professional development opportunity for our teachers and was well received. I understand. We've had tremendous academic successes this year coming out of the pandemic, which we're very proud of. The board is aware that we've had lots of seniors get into and be accepted by a pretty impressive roster of colleges and universities, including the Ivy Leagues. We have had instruction and development, professional development on PBIS, which is positive behavior interventions and support. And we are in year 1 of UDL. So we believe that these programs will really help us to decrease the number of students that are identified as needing special education support. If we can provide early interventions and address, as an example, some of the behaviors through PBIS or UDL. District office administrators are going to be going through the CBO program that was discussed when Nam was here to build capacity so that if we have turnover, our executive team is able to step in. Or, you know, if Dr. Lin goes on vacation or Dr. Choi goes on vacation or Dr. Richter goes on vacation, we should all be able to help each other and move forward seamlessly. The Educator Effectiveness Grant was provided to address professional learning in order to promote educator equity, quality, and effectiveness. And that's something that Dr. Richter has been overseeing and will continue to do so. In the area of technology, we have Power School University, which is something that we've had many of our technology staff attend. Google Bootcamp. And if I'm not mistaken, this is being hosted by La Cañada Unified School District. And we do have teachers, correct, that are attending Google Bootcamp as well as technology staff, which is a wonderful thing. Cisco Live is another professional development opportunity that has been made available in technology. Our instructional aides or paraprofessionals have, through the SELPA, received training in instructional strategies. We've had SACE training for our SPED teachers, which is the school information system reporting for special education. And our aides have also been through training at the SELPA for functions of behaviors, and they have also been trained on de-escalating situations with students verbally as opposed to physically or any other way, which has been very, very helpful. And then finally, Goal 4, develop a plan for long-term fiscal health and sustainability. And this is something that we talked about during Dr. Lin's presentation on the May revise. So the action steps here are to build a healthy reserve, increase Fund 17, and that was in the original plan, but then we do now have the reserve cap that's been triggered. So we're going to have to revisit that potentially. But we are developing a fiscal stabilization reserve, but we have to make sure that it's under 10% this year. But there are ways around that, and we're going to be talking extensively about that at our June 14th meeting. There are County Office of Education waivers. In addition to that, the board can commit funds, as we've done in the past, to be reserved for a specific program or use. Also, as mentioned earlier, we really do need to spend some time, perhaps in a budget study session with the Board of Education, to review, address, and discuss the possible paying down of the COP. Because that is a long-term liability for the school district and is going to cost a lot of money, especially as interest rates continue to rise. And then the possibility of a future bond measure, is that something that the community would support going forward? Is that something that we should commission a survey on of the community? Is that something that the board is ready to talk about and address? Facilities master plan needs to be done, facilities needs assessment, those two things really in preparation for a future bond measure need to be done by an architect or an architectural company. Also, we need to continuously ensure that we are not overstaffed in any one area, and that we are constantly reviewing our enrollment and our enrollment projections to ensure that we have the right number of staff to support our students going forward. And that is just a best practice in terms of managing our fiscal resources. Again, going back to the Board of Education, committing funds for stabilization going forward and for particular programs and needs the district may have. And then we are continuously meeting with and working with the San Marino Schools Foundation in order to work together on long-range financial planning and making sure that we have a strong partnership and open communication. And we also need to, on an ongoing basis, and we have this year, review our parcel tax funding with both measures E and measure R, and the accountability reports that we have presented to the Board of Education and to the community to ensure that the parcel taxes in the out years when we go to renew them will be sustainable. We have measure R coming up in a couple of years, and so we need to start laying the groundwork for ensuring that that is going to be supported and will pass. Very, very important for ongoing revenue sources. As the board is likely aware, 41% of all of our certificated positions are funded either by the San Marino Schools Foundation or Measure E or Measure R. So if any one of those three sources of revenue goes away, we're immediately in crisis mode. So we really do need to think about how we can shore that up and ensure that we have a financial plan that is sustainable and that ensures the future of the students that we serve. Okay, so with that, and then I am happy to entertain any questions this evening. And I like this by Pablo Picasso. Our goals can only be reached through a vehicle of a plan in which we must fervently believe and upon which we must vigorously act. There is no other route to success. So I really do believe in goal setting and in making sure that we have a strategic plan to go forward. That is not just put on the shelf, that we are constantly reviewing and evaluating to ensure that we have a roadmap to success. Questions, comments?
Any question?
I have a few. Sure. Well, actually, not so much, two comments and a question. So I just wanted to when I was looking at that, the goal one wellness, especially in light of what happened in Texas, and what's been happening in the country, not just in the schools, it's so important. So one thing a few friends have reached out to me and have asked me for referrals for therapists. And the fact, it's a mixed bag. The fact of the matter is 5 years ago, nobody was having those conversations. Not because the students didn't need it, but because nobody was having this conversation. And so I'm grateful that we have put it at the forefront, that people don't feel that there is a stigma. And I'm really grateful for the MFT interns, because I think they've been doing a lot of that student to student interaction that really creates the opportunity for students to identify whether or not they need to talk to someone, and then gives them an option to really explore how they're going to meet that need. So I know parents have been expressed to me gratitude that we have these programs in place. And so I'm really pleased to see that we've done so much in that area. The other area as well with the after school homework club, my daughter regularly doesn't come home because she just goes and hangs out in Miss Hiranaka's class. And, you know, and I love our teachers for opening their classrooms at the middle school and the high school, and then adding the summer. I think we just added the summer scholars program that we're still staffing up, it sounds like, but to even have that opportunity to address the learning loss and responsive teaching methods and all of that is really great for us. The one comment I would make that I feel we were lacking a little bit this year, I would love to see becoming more robust in the future, is the professional development for our counselors. Not so much in terms of the social emotional, which was totally there. Everybody put that on the forefront. But I think it's a chicken or the egg, that some of the stress at the high school level really does come from not feeling for lack of a better phrase, good enough for college, which is not true. Our students are amazing, but because of the way college systems and admissions are structured, students feel they feel nervous and are angst ridden. And I hear that a lot from parents. And at our PTSA meeting, Jason shared about some of the strategies the counselors were doing to really beef up the college counseling programs for our students, so that our students could be prepared, so that they could use class time to do that. So I just want to make sure that we're really putting the resources into that for our counselors to get the training and support that they need, so that they can be really effective to support our students. But otherwise, I'm just really grateful for everything we've done. I especially liked in the very beginning, you said that one of the things that was done was the leadership team aligning their site-based goals. I think that was critical because we saw that real alignment across of our schools, so that they really all could focus on these goals. And I think it really created a stronger team for administration, and it created a better experience having kids and friends throughout all the schools. I saw consistency across the sites. And so that was really exciting. And kudos to Dr. Delatorre for really pushing that and leading the way on that. And to our administrators and for our district staff who really did a lot of research, putting all of that together. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for mentioning the professional development. It helps us to move forward with ideas and opportunities for planning over the summer. And I think you're absolutely right. That is a need, and it's a need that we've talked about before. But I appreciate you sharing it again, so that it's on our radar and we can move forward to make sure that that gets executed for next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Dr. Delatorre and the cabinet put this together. I think it's a good presentation and also very informative. And I think we did reach the goal. Okay, thank you. And then next is the last comment collection. Okay. Agenda 14, communication from the audience regarding matter on the action agenda to be made at this time. Okay, go ahead to collect.
Okay, we are now going to pause for a minute to collect requests to speak concerning matters for the action items on the agenda. If you want to submit a request, please press the raise hand icon or dial *9. Time has expired and there are no requests.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask one quick question? And this is actually for Karen, because it is the middle of finals week and it's after 10 o'clock. I don't know if we wanted to, I mean, obviously we love having you here, but if you've got to study for a
No,
couple of
it's
days.
fine. I don't have finals
Okay.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Think of her and
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for Mr. Kiraki. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to study either, so.
Okay, Jennifer, do we have any the comment card in person? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's start from the agenda 15A, approval of a district sunshine proposal for contract negotiation between SMTA. Dr. Territory, yeah.
Thank you, Clerk Chang, and members of the Board of Education, executive team, and student board member. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the 2022-23 District Sunshine Proposal for contract negotiations between the San Marino Unified School District and the San Marino Teachers Association.
Any question?
I have one question.
Yes.
Has the legislature, I know that the legislature suspended evaluations last year, and I can't remember if what they did this year.
We're planning on resuming the evaluation cycle for permanent employees, and we never stopped evaluating probationary.
Okay. Because that was covered in this year's contract, right? The evaluation. So that,
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the evaluation article, and we've created a subcommittee of management and SMTA to review the evaluation procedures and take a look and see whether or not we can create a more effective evaluation instrument. And so we're doing a lot of research on that, and that committee will begin meeting in August. You're welcome.
Okay, if we don't have a question, then let's go to the 15B, approval of a district sunshine proposal for contract negotiation between CSEA. Dr. Territory.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the 22-23 District Sunshine Proposal for contract negotiations between the San Marino Unified School District and the California School Employees Association Local Chapter number 120.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did we vote on 15A?
vote on 15A.
It's an action item. Do we need to vote on 15A?
Oh, yes, thank you, yeah. Let's go back to the 15A. I need to have a motion.
Move to approve.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Kiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Stephen Bo,
Aye.
motion carry. Okay, let's go to the 15B.
Okay. It is recommended that the board approve the 22-23 District Sunshine Proposal for contract negotiations between SMUSD and CSEA Local Chapter number 120.
Any question? Okay, no question. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Chong,
Aye.
Mr. Kiraki,
Aye.
Mr. Chang, aye. Still on board? Motion carry. Next, 15C, proposed 2020 to 23 Board of Education meeting, Dr. Territory.
Yes, thank you, Clerk Chang, members of the Board of Education, Student Board Member, Executive Team. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the proposed dates for their regularly scheduled meetings for the 2022-23 school year, and you have a list of those proposed meeting dates in your packet.
Is there someone already check day and
Did you mention something about possible special board meetings? And there's something notes here that says planning date?
Yes, that has to do with the filling of the vacancy. So that's in my next presentation, but I can pull that. We were looking at a possible special open session meeting to take place June 6th at 3 p.m. And this would be to screen applications for eligibility. So did you want to wait to talk about that, or do you want to talk about that now?
I guess this might be a good time to talk about your trip.
I am going to be chaperoning the high school speech and debate national championship qualifiers to Louisville from June 10, 2022 to June 19, 2022. So as far as I know, that doesn't specifically appear on this list, but
how about there's approve this first, and then because a special meeting always come out, so so then we did later, and that's just approve for standing meeting first. Yeah.
So
Okay. Can I have a motion? Yeah.
Move. Well, I did have one other question regarding the board. I know that's going to be a special meeting for board take oath of office in December.
Yes.
So, but that's going to be a special thing, right?
December.
So this is just our regular board meeting.
Yeah.
Regular.
Right.
Yeah, this
Right.
regular board meeting. Yeah.
So I move to approve the list of regular board meeting dates.
Any second? Any second?
Second.
Roll call. Mrs. Ryan.
I apologize, Mr. Chang, if I could. As I'm looking at these dates, I remember last year, like I think November 8th is, like we were trying to talk about, which dates are part of open house or there's something special so that, if we're having board meetings on that day, then it doesn't allow us to go out to the schools. And one of the things, November 8th is, I believe, that's the election day. And I remember last year, we were all, wondering what was going on. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but that's what I see on my calendar. And then Tuesday, December is it 15th, which is the Tuesday?
Let's see, December 13th, Tuesday.
Okay, December 13th is a
there-
Tuesday. You're right. I was in November still. So that December date is correct. So if we could just double check. I mean, do we have to
So-
approve it all tonight? I'm just saying, last year we ran into things where, oh, it's back to school night and then we have a board meeting, or those things that we already have calendared at the 4 schools. We're just making sure that it doesn't land on those same days.
Election day, would that impact our meeting though? Don't most people vote? We've had board meetings on election day, because usually people vote like during the day or right after work or something, right? Or by mail.
I'm just watching the return.
Yeah.
Well, I just know last year there were a
Okay.
number of issues on that day, so.
Okay. On the November, aside from election. Okay, so I
could that day move to the 15th without a problem?
let's see, to the 15th.
No, November 15th.
Yeah, that's okay. November 15th. So the 15th and the 29th is what you're thinking?
Well, we don't have it.
Oh, we don't, yeah, because of Thanksgiving, right?
I mean, I know that the school calendars haven't been fixed yet.
Uh-huh.
We have a draft calendar, some of the PTAs distributed, but I don't think we have anything on the school calendars yet.
Right. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
And so I see that Thanksgiving is actually the 24th. So having a board meeting on the 29th wouldn't interfere with that if we did what Mr. Clackey is suggesting, the 15th and the 29th.
So then we'd have a 15, 29, and then December. Because we're gonna need to have that Friday for the oath of office. That's a statutory requirement.
Yeah.
I don't know why we need a 15 and a 29 in November, or do we normally? Because I think we normally.
I think we normally only have one.
One
Yeah.
meeting in
Right,
November.
okay. So we could do the 15th.
The 15th would still be before the week off in
Right.
November, right?
Yeah.
So in fact, it'd be the Tuesday before that week-long vacation.
Is there something that typically occurs on the 8th, like in terms of a budget approval or anything that's statutory that we need to consider?
Catherine, is that?
Not November,
Well,
not in November.
no, okay.
Because I think we have a December interim report, but not in November.
Anything, not, it wouldn't be in November though, right?
No, we have showcase November.
Do we have to do an interim, when we have an interim budget, do we have to float it twice before the board?
No, there's
No, you have first interim and second interim. And then the governor's budget will require a presentation. That's not until January. Then you have something in March. That's the second interim, right? March is the second interim, and then the May revise. Yeah, nothing's happening in November with budget.
We get the state apportionment.
Yeah, but that doesn't require a presentation.
That's good.
Yeah. So looking at this, we typically only have one meeting in November. Dr. Richter has just shared with me the tentative back to school and open house nights. And the only thing happening in November is on the 10th, right?
the showcase at
And
the high
that's,
school.
that's the high school showcase tentative date. So I think the 15th would work well if it works well for the board.
Is everyone okay? November 15th?
I think that date would work, yeah.
Is everyone okay with that?
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
There-
and then the,
There may be a conflict on the June 13th. Can
June-
that be moved to a week earlier?
June 13th. And this is for the following year, not for this year?
Correct.
Yeah. Can it be moved? Let's see.
The reason being.
I'm just trying to plan for the conflict this year would exist next year as well.
So I would be concerned about pushing it to the 6th because of the budget. I like keeping it at the 13th because it gets us as close to when the governor is going to be
Mhm.
signing his budget,
Right.
rather than us having to rely on that May revise. So I would like to keep it at the 13th.
okay,
Oh, and the LCAP.
Oh, the LCAP
Because
too.
the LCAP has to be agendized for that same period of time. And also, it is possible, it's not ideal, but it is possible for a board member to attend remotely if you post the meeting on your hotel room door.
I was,
yeah.
that's what I was going to ask for
And
this year.
any
So-
member of the public can come into your hotel room and watch the meeting with you.
Probably in the business services.
That's the only risk that you run, but as long as you properly post and agendize the board meeting in your hotel room, you could still.
so can get
Okay.
a free night?
Right? Maybe.
Okay, so for those states, if everyone is okay, let's vote this first, and then talk for a special meeting later, okay?
Yeah.
So can we repeat again? You have a motion? Okay,
The board meeting dates with the amended Tuesday, November 15th instead of
Okay,
the 8th.
and any second?
Second,
Okay, roll call, Mr. Kiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Chang,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
aye.
Mr. Chen, I, Stephen Bo. Motion carry. Thank you. Okay, last agenda is that we right now we need to reserve the time. So
Yeah.
we need to have a motion. May extend the time.
How many more minutes?
How many?
It depends on your questions. If I can get through this in like, 7 minutes.
Because unfortunately, we've been through this before.
Right. This is not new to the board.
Well, how about I extend it by 10 minutes?
Okay, okay, give a
I move
motion.
to extend by 10 minutes.
Okay. Any second?
Oh. Oh, okay. So you want to go to 30 minutes and then we,
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, so
okay.
30 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Dilatory.
Any second?
Second, it's for 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, roll call, Mr. Kiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Chong,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, I, Stephen Bo. Motion carry. Okay, let's go to the 15D board vacancy, Dr. Territory.
Yes, thank you, Clerk Chang, members of the Board of Education, student board member, and executive team. I have before you this evening a presentation on the current vacancy that we have, the filling of that vacancy, and all the information that you are already familiar with. And so I'm going to take you through this kind of quickly. So we have a proposed timeline, and that is May 16th. Is the date when the clock starts ticking, because that is the date that the Los Angeles County Office of Education Superintendent's Office recorded the resignation as being received by their office. On May 24th, that is tonight, we have this regular meeting, and we need to have the board engage in a discussion on selecting a subcommittee of the board that has to be less than a quorum to work on the process with the superintendent and the executive assistant to the superintendent. So that is something that you will need to take action on this evening, deciding who the 2 board members will be that will oversee the process and work on the process. May 26, 2022, the vacancy will be announced through local media. I have to say that we found out today that the San Marino Tribune's deadline was 5 o'clock, right? 5 o'clock. And so there is no flexibility with that. And so we could not give them the advertisement prior to the board reviewing this information and deliberating and deciding that these dates are in fact the dates that you want to use to go forward. But I then had Mrs. Delatorre contact LACO and speak with Dr. Deegan's office to find out if there was any flexibility with that. Does it have to be in print? Can it be delivered to community electronically? Could we send it out, to everyone via constant contact? Can we do a mailing? All of those questions were asked and answered. And we can do an online advertisement. And we talked to Charlie Plowman about that today because he happened to be here for another meeting. And that is a possibility for him to get that information to the public online. The other option is to do a mailing, right, Jennifer? Yes. Right. And so we plan to do those things to meet the.
So they don't come Pasadena Star News?
We can contact them and find out what their deadline is.
I thought they are the daily news, right? Every day.
Possibly, I don't know, because we don't normally advertise with them, but we can find out. So Jennifer Delatorre is going to be working on that beginning tomorrow morning. And so the bottom line is we're going to get it out there and we will meet the requirement, the statutory requirement one way or the other. So the vacancy is going to be announced publicly. The application period will open at 12 noon on Thursday. June 3rd is when the application window will close at noon. June 6th, which is a Monday, we will hold a special open session meeting at 3 p.m. Screen applications for eligibility, receive public comment, identify applicants in written form to the community via constant contact at the end of that meeting. And then June 8th would be another special open session meeting that would commence at 5 p.m. We would hold interviews similarly to what we have done in the past. The Board of Education will vote on a provisional candidate. The candidate will be sworn into office to serve the remaining term through 2022.
Before we go to next page, Mr. Kiraki, you mentioned you were out of town. Is that June what?
I'm out of town on the 10th, so that should be fine on the 8th. That's not a problem. But does it can be done sworn in on a special meeting, not a regularly scheduled meeting?
Yes, we did that before with both yourself and Mrs. Jack.
Yeah.
It was the same meeting wherein you were interviewed, and then the board deliberated, made a decision, and then we.
I just
for you-
remember later that night, for me, there was a regularly,
Yeah,
I
for
guess
you,
just coincidentally, there was a special meeting followed by a regular meeting. But that was just coincidence. That was not because it had to be on that same day.
I don't think that makes a difference, but we'll double check for you and we'll. send
I
you
just
out
want to
word.
make sure that it
Yeah,
doesn't
right.
need to be a regular meeting.
I
If
think,
it doesn't, then it doesn't.
yeah, I don't think it does, but we'll double, triple check just to make sure that we're not making any missteps. And then we'll email the board to confirm.
But to answer your question, June 8 is fine.
Okay, good. Yeah.
We good?
Okay, so we can
Thank
go
you.
to the next page.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I just put on the screen for you the qualifications to serve, very basic, 18 years of age, a citizen, resident of the school district, a registered voter, and someone who is not disqualified by the Constitution or laws of the state from holding civil office. So you guys have been through this before and you're aware of that. This just talks about possible interview protocols. Number one, you can have a candidate statement only, set a time limit. One example is what makes you the ideal candidate to be provisionally appointed to the board? That's a very open-ended question. Another candidate statement could be perhaps 2 minutes as an example with a limited number of questions. Another example is 1 question per board member. Since there's 4 board members, we'll have to figure out how much time you want to allot to each person's interview. And that might depend on how many candidates you actually get. So a lot of these decisions are going to be made based on the situation and the circumstances that we're dealing with at the time. And the subcommittee that you select this evening can really dig into these details and work with the district.
You have any information about the application itself?
Yes, we have the application. Steve, can you pull that up? It's online, right?
So we're looking at the same one.
It's the same application that we had before because we don't see a need to really change anything.
Okay.
And you guys have seen it, right? Or do you need to have a copy of it or?
Just for the purposes of conversation here in
Yes.
open session, we are using the same application that we used last year.
Yes.
To do this. So if anybody has questions, that can be pulled up.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
I don't know where it is.
Well, I know Dr. Troy has it because we looked at it the other day. I have it, but. Mhm.
I'm just not sure exactly where it is in the public one.
Let me see if I can bring it up real quick.
Can I ask, are there 2 options? There's an appointment and a special election? Or just an appointment?
This is not showing online what you're, like any private stuff on your computer.
No,
Okay.
I'm a public official. I don't have private stuff. Okay, so let's see.
Sorry, Mike. What was-
No, it's okay.
It's all right. We'll finish your question.
Did you send it in an email? You did, right?
So. Is
Yeah,
it
it's a
Google
Google
Doc?
form. It's shared. Doesn't go to the email.
Video. What was it called, Steve?
It's on the screen now.
Oh, okay, never
there.
mind. Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Let's just go to the form.
Okay, so your name, what is your residence address? School board members must reside within the San Marino School District boundaries. So even if you live in the city of San Gabriel, if it's still within, or Pasadena, if it's still within the school district boundaries, you're eligible. What are your primary and secondary telephone contact numbers? What is your email address? How long, years, months have you lived within the San Marino School District's boundaries? What is your occupation? Please read and check each applicable box. That's just to determine the qualifications, school attendance and involvement. Where are your children attending school? Check all that apply. Did you attend SMUSD schools as a student? List or describe involvement on any school committee or describe any school activities that you have led in recent years. Community involvement, briefly identify and describe your community involvement, volunteerism and leadership within the San Marino community. Describe any other community business activities or board experience in which you have participated. Describe your role and whether your work was volunteer or employment related. What community organizations do you belong to? And there's an exhaustive list. School board service. This is the why section to identify or substantiate your reasons for wanting to join the San Marino Unified School District Board of Education. Why do you want to become a school board member in San Marino? How does the board role differ from that of the superintendent? What should the relationship between the board members and the administration in the handling of a school concern? What should be, sorry, I missed that. What do you see as the strengths of the school district? What are your greatest concerns about San Marino Unified? In the remaining 1+ years of the vacant board member term, that needs to be updated, Steve, because it's not 1+ years. So we'll update that question. Let's see, what personal or professional quality, skills, or strengths will you bring to the board that will add value to the governance team, students, and schools in San Marino? And then final details and further verifications. And that's it. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, so can I ask, is the appointment, is it a choice between appointment and special election or only appointment?
Okay, so you have, the Board of Education has 60 days from the date that the county superintendent receives the resignation, which is May 16th, to appoint a 5th member to the board. If a 5th member is not appointed within that 60-day period of time, the county superintendent can commission a special election.
Okay, so the board does not have the option to choose between a special election and an appointment. Is that correct?
No, I think you could ask for a special election. The reason you don't want to do that is because it's going to cost over 6 figures. It'll be over $100,000 to commission a special election.
No, I understand that. I'm just in an effort of transparency to make sure that the public knows what the
Yes.
options are
I
and
think you do have
what's
that option.
happening.
Yeah.
Do we have any specificity on the amount of the cost of a special election?
I was told it'll be over $100,000, but I don't know specifically how much.
Good.
I think last time we discussed it, that was the number we kept using.
Yeah. And for some reason, I have a really hard time getting in touch with the registrar recorder's office. Ever since the pandemic, it's really hard to get in touch with those people. Not so hard to get in touch with the county people though. So, and the registrar recorder's office is the one that would give us like an estimate, which is always different than the actual bill that they send after the election. So, okay. So these are just sample interview questions that you've all seen before that you could have the subcommittee review and make recommendations to the board on which questions could be asked and in what time frame. And these all came from CSBA. So what, question number one, what do you see as the basic purpose of public schools? What is the role of the Board of Trustees in the fulfillment of that purpose? Number four, describe a good board meeting. What are the objectives of a good board meeting? Just gives you a sense of what the candidate sees as the role. Summarize the strengths you would bring as a board member. How would you complement the board with the skills that you have? Identify a recent board decision that you felt strongly about and describe how you would balance community concerns, student needs, state and federal law, staff considerations, and your personal value and beliefs to determine how to vote on the issue. So those are just some samples. And then this came from Connecticut Association of Boards of Education, more sample questions. And that's continued, more sample questions. This gets into like the philosophical perspectives of an individual, why are school boards necessary? And then evaluating the candidates. So this is really important for the board to use as a tool in how they would evaluate each candidate that comes forward. Does the candidate know the political boundary and physical geography of the school district? Hopefully they do. Have the courage and ability to explain and enforce a role which might not be popular, but which is proper? Do they have a layperson's relationship to public education? Do they have personal interests that would be in conflict with their service to the board? Do they have a sense of humor? That's important here. Do they make a habit of withholding judgment on critical issues until the facts are available? All of those are really important. Is the candidate seeking the position for personal prestige or political gain? In other words, do they have a personal agenda? Are they a leader in his or her own occupation or community group? Are they a known quantity in the community? Are they able to think independently and objectively about a problem? Are they aware of the cross currents of thinking pertaining to the basic concepts of public education? Are they able to carry on cheerfully when public appreciation of his or her efforts seem to be lacking? That's important too. So these are just some really important ways that you can measure the candidate's ability to be successful as 20% of this board going forward until there is an election that's held in November. Will the candidate remain loyal to his or her fellow trustees under stress? Will they work to develop unity among the members of the board, contributing to harmonious development of the program? One thing we talk about a lot is, how important it is for our boards to have unity of purpose. Dr. Lynn knows that. He's nodding his head because he was a board member in Temple City. Has the candidate an interest in the public schools, the community, and every child? Have they arrived at a position of recognized leadership in the community? That's important as well. And then questions or comments?
Any question?
I do have one question.
Yes.
So I know that we had discussed at the beginning of the meeting, board policy 9121 for the president.
Yes.
But there are a couple of other board bylaws that are not necessarily in conflict, but are inconsistent. So I would request that the board, after taking care of the board vacancy, one thing at a time, that the board look at our bylaws to ensure there is consistency between and among them, particularly with regard to pull it up, I don't want to get the numbers wrong. Particularly with regard to board policy number 9100 and 9123. And 9100 referring to the board electing a president, vice president, and clerk. And then 9123 referring to the duties of the clerk, which refer to the succession. So I think that's just something that the board, I would like for us to consider to take care of or address or something. I'm not quite sure what we do or when we do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the action item. I think the first of all, we need to decide, as Mr. Kiraki mentioned, right? So I think the first motion we want to vote is that within the 60 day, we want to appoint one more board member instead of election, right? Okay, so can I have a motion?
Yeah, can I just, a real quick question?
Yeah.
If the county superintendent decides that they're calling for a special election, do they pay for the special election?
Nope, we do.
So the district would pay for it no matter what.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, can I have a motion?
I move to move forward with the board appointment process.
Okay, any second?
Second,
Roll call, Mr. Kiraki,
Aye.
Mrs. Chang,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
aye.
Mr. Chen, I, Stephen Bow. Motion carry. And next, action item, I'd like to make a motion, to nominate two board member and to serve as a subcommittee. So as I just heard the conversation about who can be the in-person. So I'd like to nominate Mr. Chang and Mrs. Ryan to serve for subcommittee. Any second?
I second. I
Well,
guess I'm
unless you-
accepting, I'm accepting.
Unless you are going to a hotel, so and then I will drop you. Yeah. Second, okay, roll call, Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mrs. Chang, Mr. Kiraki,
Aye.
Mr. Chen, I, Stephen Bow. Wow,
Uh-huh.
so wonderful, you keep until the last minute, motion carry.
Yes.
Okay, next, is that, okay, I think we have to, next,
Well, we haven't voted on this timeline.
okay, timeline, okay.
Yeah, are you okay with the timeline?
Can I ask, is there, so we have until July 16th.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if there's any benefit to get the word out to the community more, if we use more of that 60 days. I'm not pushing one way or the other. I'm just asking the question.
I mean, we plan to blast it out there every which way, this week. So I think one bit of advice that I could give the board is that see how many applicants you get by the time we close it. And if it's not sufficient, you may want to extend it. And you would have the right at that point to do that. So if you had maybe one candidate and no one else, and you wanted to get more variety or have more interest, but that's a board decision.
I have no problem with this timeline. It's tight, it's quick, but I think because we're looking at July and this is really a very short appointment to begin with anyway.
And what we were thinking is that a lot of people plan to travel this summer. And so as soon as school's out, there may be, a lot of people going off in different directions because they haven't been able to travel as extensively because of the pandemic before. And
That point actually may result in multiple people being gone that week right after graduation, which may limit the ability of people if they've planned to leave to not be able to participate.
we did have some people, I believe, remotely, right, interview.
Yes, so that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it doesn't necessarily tie us to having them in person.
Right.
We did have interviews because we were in the middle of a surge, I believe.
Yeah.
Actually, we had interviews both remote and in person. For one of the vacancies.
Right.
I am concerned though that if we push it, you're not gonna be.
No, I would be here. I'm only gonna be gone 1 week. So I would be back by June 19th and you would have close to a month after that by July 16th.
So
So there wouldn't be an issue with that. I appreciate, you saying, I'm just saying that calendaring issue isn't an issue, but
I do remember last year us having a conversation about it feeling tight as well, and there was it does, because the timing is earlier rather than later, it does allow us a window of time to do it, to extend out if need be, as Dr. Delatorre mentioned, even to the point of, if we have until July, when's our deadline, our drop date?
July 16th.
Even if we felt like we needed to do it all over again, it gives us time to kind of do it again. That was something that had come up last time as well.
Right.
Like, we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we now have very little time to act or make a decision.
you mean it, so you're saying that if we did this process and it did not yield a successful candidate, then we would still have time to do it all over again?
Yeah, I think that was part of the conversation last year. And I think as Dr. Delatorre was saying, if we get to June 3rd, 12 noon and there's no applicants,
right,
then, the board can meet on the 6th. And if there are no applicants, then we can assess extending a timeline or something. But versus if we push it now, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that we're going to get more applicants just because we delay it by a couple of weeks. So it's kind of like that, when you're studying for something, get it done early.
Yeah.
Because you never know what may come up.
It's true.
That's my only concern. So, I would, with that, just to move the meeting along, I'll make the motion and then we can figure out how we feel about it. I make the motion to accept the proposed timeline.
Okay, any second?
Second.
Roll call, Mrs. Chang,
Aye.
Mrs. Ryan,
Aye.
Mr. Kiraki.
Aye.
Mr. Chen, aye. Stephen Bo. Motion carried. Okay, I think is that we almost answer all the questions, right? So we can move to next agenda, right? Okay, and the last one is I think a board and a superintendent discussion item. I have a one. So after we still have a COVID-19 compliance officer, which who is Dr. Choi here. So I monitor the case rate every day from the hospital review. So look like it's not a good news. And then I have a two kids at the hospital, and they also, when they come home, they trying to protect me. So today is my first time, to wear the mask again. So I'm not trying to scare the community, but I'm just want you to stand by. So far, just stay with LA County Health Department instruction. But in the meantime, PPE. If you need a PPE, I'll find a PPE for you, but I want to make sure if something get worse, we are able to.
Absolutely, we won't let our guard down.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chang, for bringing that up. And I also want to thank you, Stephen, for your work as you continue as compliance officer. I noticed the sign up for our staff to get the second booster. And so you're kind of on top of everything. And thank you again on behalf of our staff and our community, because the more people that have the opportunity to make those choices for themselves, the better. So thank you for that. And thank you, Mr. Chang, for always keeping us mindful about the pandemic and understanding the ebb and flow and the safety protective, the layers of protective factors that we need to continue in place to keep all of our schools open, to keep our kids healthy, and to engage our school community in making the best choices. Thank you.
I would like to ask my COVID-19 fellow, Mr. Kiraki, any comment?
Well, I mean, I'm very thankful. Very thankful to hear that the district has set up the booster shot clinic. Thank you very much for doing that. It's very important. And so thanks for everything you've done, and hopefully numbers can stay low. I know I've heard various reports of districts that have districts that have started to require masks indoors. I've heard of that. So hopefully our numbers can be under control. People continue to follow the recommendations for washing hands and social distancing and everything that we've heard for multiple years now. But yeah, I think it's going to be a constant conversation, a constant effort to try to keep all of our kids and our staff and our teachers and everybody as part of our district safe. So obviously continue to look forward to working with you and everybody to try to do that.
Thank you. We have other discussion item?
The only thing I would ask is, which we've kind of touched a couple of times regarding me being gone from June 10 to 19, is there something special that needs to be done or announced at this time for me to be able to appear by video teleconference? No? Okay. And that's fine with the board. I mean, there's no objection to that, I take it. Or even, I don't know if there even can be an objection, I don't know. But I just want to make sure everything's fine with it, so.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
Lastly, I just want to remind each of board member so that the school district know which graduation you will attend. So I think it's very important, yeah. So that they know to honor the board member, yeah. Is that we will all four will attend the four school?
I'm planning on going to all four, yes.
Okay. Good. And then lastly, find out your gun, yeah.
So or you were gonna say something about that, was there something you were gonna add?
Yes, thank you. I was going to say, in the absence of a policy that would prohibit it, it's fine,
permitted.
as long as you provide the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
on
great.
your hotel room door.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, if you wanted to go in there.
Wonderful, thank you. I will find a quiet, open place.
Yeah, yeah, because if you go in the conference room, you're going to be distracted noise and but we're well beyond our time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I'm hammered to adjourn the tonight meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you,
Hey,
Karen.
Karen, you break the record.
Right?
Yeah, you are
early.
all the way. Attend the meeting.
So the
Staying the whole.
Yep. Yep.
School.
Blacktop, it's gonna be.
Yes. So no special parking